Hi everyone, good beautiful Sunday. Welcome to the HR Cafe Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa. We're now at episode 81. And as mentioned last week, our special guest for today is no other than Mr. Ernesto Espinosa, and he will be talking about the meaning and rationale behind employee relations. That will be on our part two of our program of the HR Cafe for today. So let us just start our program. I welcome you to the HR Cafe Trabaho Buhay Iba Pa program. This is an online talk show and training program that is sponsored by the Philippines HR Group. We've been doing this since the start of the pandemic because we believe that learning should not stop. So every Sunday at 3 p.m., the HR Cafe is being aired via live stream at the Philippines HR Group FB group page and also at the Philippines HR Group YouTube channel. We're also being aired at the HR Cafe Usapang Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa FB page. My name is Coach Darwin Rivers. I'm the founder and president of the Philippines HR Group. I'm a certified life coach, a public speaker, a motivational speaker, and HR consultant. I'm also working as the VP for Global HR Operations for a BPO company. And joining with me are our fellow HR Cafe servers. We have Mentor John Bernard Ordonez Caasi, who's currently on leave right now. But Mentor John Ordonez Caasi is actually an educator and a learning and development practitioner. He's best known for his creation like unboxing Catholicism via podcast and FB Live. And later on, we'll be joined by Mentor Rona Del Florentino. Mentor Rona has more than 20 years of HR practitioner experience working in different local and international companies. She's a president and CEO of Uprush Social Geekers, and she's also a public speaker and HR consultant. Mentor Rona has been named as one of the top 100 Filipino women in LinkedIn last year, and we're hoping that this year she'll also be part of that exclusive list. And of course, our constant Miss Mentor Tina Coang. Mentor Tina is an operations and HR leader with broad local and overseas experience. She's a general manager for a retail company, an online content creator, and best known for her blog, tinaandmanila.com. Hi, Tina. How are you?
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. It's very nice for us to at least have this very last HR cafe session with Sir Ernesto. Sa month of love. And then by
Month of
next week
Love.
March na. So ang
Start of
bilis talaga
summer.
ng panahon. Correct. Sobrang bilis. And with that, I'd like to greet Kuya Bab, taga-subaybay mo lang Mandaluyong. I hope Kuya Bab will also be part of our HR Cafe guest because he's also an expert in his field. So there.
Also,
And Sir
before we
Bong
continue,
Tapulano, happy
yeah.
Sunday.
Also would like to greet fellow HR practitioners Arvin, Jesse Del Rosario, Sir Butch Nayona is also watching, Jasper Flores Cruz, Celia Stanislao, Andrea Acosta, and a good friend and HR leader also, July 18. Hi everyone, please do share our program to your network so that your friends and your fellow HR practitioners can also learn on our weekly program. Okay, so let's start. As you enter the HR Cafe here in our program, we provide timely news and updates. We impart knowledge and experience that are value adding and beneficial to our audience. We discuss problems, issues, and challenges and provide answers and resolutions through our guest resource. If there are any new technologies around, we tools and processes, of course, we will feature them and discuss them here because we believe that part of the growth of HR should be understanding new technologies and being able to adopt in industry's best practices. If your company also has job requirements or job opening, please post it at the comment section and we'll be happy to announce it so that um, our fellow listeners who might be looking for a job or exploring opportunities will be able to learn what are your requirements. The HR Cafe also is a virtual job board, and we will be happy to make any job related announcement in your behalf. At the end of the day, the HR Cafe program and the Philippines HR Group would like to bridge understanding between employers and employees and provide inspiration and motivation to everyone. So let's start our program with our wow quote for the week. And as I've mentioned, no, we've been at the HR Cafe program even at the start of the pandemic, and we always try to start the program with a wow quote for the week, so that we are able to provide a glimpse of what will be the topic. And since the topic for today is about employee engagement, our wow quote for the week comes from Miss Megan Biro. For all of you guys who does not know who Megan Biro is, she is a writer at Forbes, and according to Miss Biro, employees engage with employers and brands when they're treated as humans worthy of respect. Let me just repeat that. Employees engage with employers and brands when they're treated as humans worthy of respect. How does this particular quote resonates to you? Please share it to us and we'll be happy to share it to our general audience. Mentor Tina, being in the retail industry, what's the importance of employee engagement and how would you say that employees are more engaging with employers and brands if they're treated as humans?
All right. A lot of people think that HR is or businesses is all about hiring people, giving them instructions, and then magic will happen. Okay, ulitin natin ha. Maraming tao iniisip po nila na ang negosyo is as simple as hiring somebody, recruiting them, paying them their wage, and then expecting them to perform. Okay? The problem po kasi is we're forgetting the human side of it. Ang tao kasi, syempre gagawa sa their employees. They know they know how to follow instruction, but ultimately they want to be seen as humans. The problem kasi with many businesses or companies or is that they always sometimes they see people as labor or manpower, which is a very big mistake. Kasi when you remove the human aspect in managing a business, you will find that you will have more problems in getting people to follow the company policies and instructions. Kasi people feel na ginagamit mo lang ako. You see me as a transactional being and not as a human being. So for me, I always recommend to HR people, you always have to treat people with respect. But it's not na you treat people respect na mabait ka sa tao. Treating people with respect is all about earning their respect first. Earning their respect first, which is, I think, a very forgotten part of managing employees. Kasi a lot of people are saying, oh, VP ako, or may-ari ako, or ako yung in charge of HR. So, dapat sumunod sila sa akin. And that's one of the biggest mistakes HR managers commit in their job, that they expect people to work for them or work and follow the company policy because it is their job. Ang tao hindi naman sumusunod yan dahil trabaho nila eh. Sumusunod yan kasi gusto nilang sumunod. Right? So I think for everybody, we have to make sure that you earn their respect first. You have to show that you are competent, that you are also competent in your job, that you are also serving the employees, you're doing your part, that pwede ka naman talaga, kahanga-hanga ka talaga at masusundan ka nila. We should not take it for granted that they should follow you just because you are the owner or because you are the HR manager or you hold a high position. It's always starts with respect first. And once you have respect, everybody will follow you. And this is not just in a company, but also in your family, in your community, and yes, even in your country. Malapit na ang election, HR is very we're not diving on that, but we always it's easier for leaders to be followed if they are also respected. So we always have to conduct ourselves with respect. Darwin?
Yes, for me, the one of the things that I like about this particular quote of Miss Megan Biro is that it highlights three things. One is, if you would remember, there's this also famous quote na nagsasabi na you should always put customer first. Pero dito, sinasabi niya, it's not really the customer who should be put first whenever we run a business. It should be employees that we should put first, because if we put our employees first, if we put the welfare of our employees first, it would mean that our employers will be able to take care of our customers and clients. That's one. Two, it also highlights the fact that employees, they relate to management and to the brand of the organization. What kind of brand? Are you selling to your employees and to your clients and customers? What is the culture inside your organization or your company? Because if your culture disrespects the rights of the employees, then do not expect the employees to follow the code of discipline or whatever guidelines or whatever protocols that you have inside your organization. Sabi nga ni Mentor Tina, respect comes in two ways. Hindi porket empleyado sila, it's just they're just mere employees, but understand that the business, when you're running a business, employees is your number one asset and your most valued asset. Third is that going to the fact that a lot of people managers, so this is not only HR, a lot of people managers forget that employees spends what? About 8 to 10 hours of their time in your company or in your organization. A third of their life every day is being spent in your company. And if you cannot even provide them the minimum respect needed, how would you expect them to be productive? Right? So that's the reason why people leaders, employers, HR leaders, HR professionals, let's make sure that we do three things. One is always put your employees first. Second is make sure that the processes in place in your organizations, processes and policies are pro-employees and will support the development and welfare of your employees. Third is building a culture of respect among all classes. It doesn't matter if you're a janitor or the CEO. Rules should apply to everyone. And as always, we should give each and every one respect because we're part of an ecosystem. Your company is part of an ecosystem, and that ecosystem is part of a bigger ecosystem, which is the economy of the Philippines, right? And the economy of the world. So let's make sure that we give respect to our employees and we provide them what is rightfully what they're rightfully needed, and let's us support them. Okay, so that's it from my end. How about our audience, Mentor Tina? Meron bang mga nagbigay ng kanilang insights or about our wow quote for the week?
Yes, we do. We have a comment here that says, earning that respect is what Circa Ernie E. Ernest Espinosa is all about. Val Tamayo says employees engage more when they know they are in a safe environment. You can't tell them to trust you. You have to make them want to trust you, and that starts with respect. So Rona has now joined us. Rona, what do you think of the wow quote of the week?
Yes, good afternoon everyone. Medyo na late tayo at medyo madilim ako ngayon. Pagpasensyahan niyo na po. Missing ang aking ring light. But ang ganda ng ating wow quote for the week. Now, from me, everyone starts with appreciation. Everything starts with appreciation. If you don't appreciate the people around, lahat naman tayo gusto natin maramdaman na appreciated tayo. Kasi when we feel we are appreciated, we feel that we are important, we feel that we are respected as a human being. If we don't feel that we are appreciated, nababastos tayo kasi parang hindi kinikilala kung ano yung kaya natin gawin at hindi natin kayang gawin.
Our
And
contributions, no?
yes, yung ating contributions, no matter how small the contribution is. It's not, respect is not something that is reliant on your title, on your age, on your seniority, how long you've been with the company, how old you are, wala doon. You would see some people, younger people, who gets respect from a lot simply because they know how to appreciate the people around them. And there are also people who are very quiet, nasa isang tabi lang naman, but when they speak, everyone listens. Because when they speak, they are the type of people who would appreciate what the thoughts are of those who are around them. And that is where it starts. We need to make sure that we appreciate what each of us can contribute. When we do that, we start to respect each other. And when we start to respect our employees and treat them as human beings, understand that they are also capable of being hurt, they are capable of contributing, they are capable of anger, we are capable of anger, we are also capable of contributing. When we understand all of that, when people see things from each other's perspective, that is when engagement happens. Without that, we can always say naman na, I respect that person, pero wala akong tiwala sa kanya. Diba? But how can you respect that person if wala kang tiwala? That's medyo hindi nagja-drive yun. So, you appreciate the person, you know what the person can do. I respect that person because he's the type of person who can do this, who can do that, regardless of the position. And when the other person knows that he is appreciated, mas engage siya. Kasi yung boss ko, alam niya na kaya ko to. Kasi yung boss ko, alam ko, susuportahan niya ako. So, mas nagiging engaged sila. Kasi yung boss ko nire-respeto ko bilang tao at alam niya na meron akong mga sarili kong problema, sarili kong kahinaan, sarili kong kalakasan. So, di ba, dahil alam niya yun, dahil nire-respeto niya yun at na-appreciate niya yun at naiintindihan niya yun, mas magiging engage ako. Kasi minsan tayo, respeto lang sa tawag. Nire-respeto ko yan, kaya tawag ko sa kanya, sir. Pero sa totoo, sir, dahil nakagawian mo lang. Diba? So yun yung importante, that we understand each other's point of view, that we understand where everyone is coming from, where the other party is coming from. And when we have that understanding, when we have that appreciation, when we know where they are coming from, that is where engagement starts. Ayan. Coach Darwin, back to you po.
Yes, agree. So that's our take for the wow quote for the week. Any other addition from our audience, Mentor Tina?
Yes, we do. There are a lot of people who actually agree with you, Coach Darwin. Respect is very important in an organization. If respect is being practiced, not just sa taas lang, but all throughout, everyone will be engaged, very productive, and eventually success will follow. And when employees are valued, they become engaged. This is from Lou Lizelle. Somebody also said, think from the heart. You will be remembered on how you treat people and not what you gave them. That's true because a lot of people do believe na kapag mabait ako, pag nagbibigay ako ng pabor o nagbibigay ako ng pamerienda, magugustuhan ako ng tao. Pero pag wala ka namang alam, kahit magkano pa ang pinakain mo, wala pa rin. And then there's another one that says every employee has different skills. Appreciation is more meaningful and they enjoy being part of the company. That's true. I think somebody, si Sir Ray Elbo, who said nga na if you cannot reward your people as generously, at the very least, treat them with niceness and respect.
Agree.
So there.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our next part of the program, which is our HR question for the week. And alam mo ba, napakarami pa rin mga HR ang nalilito about preventive suspension. Are preventive suspensions at work for employees who have admissive cases legal? So yan ang ating HR question for the week. Can I start with this, Mentor Stina, Mentor Shona?
Go ahead, Coach
Okay,
Darwin.
sige. Ano ba yung pinaghuhugutan nitong preventive suspension? Kung legality lang ang pag-uusapan, ang basis niyan is of course, it will be from the Philippines Labor Code. Ito po ay nasa, if I'm not mistaken, ito ay nasa Rule 13 of Book 5, Section 8. According to that particular section, preventive suspension, employers may place workers concerned under preventive suspension only if his or her continued employment poses a serious and imminent threat to the life or property of the employer or his co-workers. So there are two rules for an employer to put an employee under preventive suspension. Now, um, pag sinabi po natin preventive suspension, hindi po yan punitive. Ibig sabihin, hindi po yan hindi po yan sanction kagad. Kasi preventive suspension is just a mechanism for management to be able to do the due process through admissive hearing and investigation. And inaalis lang po yung tao o yung employee doon sa sitwasyon na he or she can be a threat the to his or her fellow employee or to the company, or po pwede niyang maimpluwensyahan ang isang admin investigation. So legal po ang pag ah, bibigay ng preventive suspension. Kaya lang, ang problema sa mga HR, minsan pag gusto ni operations, di ba, or gusto ng department head, may kasalanan niyang empleyado niyan, ayoko muna siyang pumasok, i-preventive suspension mo muna siya. Hindi po pwede yon. Kasi malinaw sa batas, meron siyang dalawang prerequisite. Pag hindi po na-meet yung dalawang prerequisite na yon, hindi niyo po pwedeng ilagay ang empleyado under preventive suspension. So that's it from my end. How about you, Mentors Rona?
Yes, totoo po yan, Coach Darwin. Isa sa mga common misconception ng mga HR is that preventive suspension is a disciplinary action. Hindi po. It's not a disciplinary action. It's just a way to protect the employee na may kaso or yung mga tao within the organization. So, hindi po rin ito basta-basta ini-implement. Dapat iingatan po natin ito. Last resort po ito at kung talagang mabigat lang po yung kaso. So, kunwari ang kaso ay tardiness, absenteeism, naku, wala po tayong grounds dyan para mag-preventive suspension. At ang preventive suspension po, hindi nyo na kailangan pandumaan ng due process dahil hindi nga siya disciplinary action. So po pwede po siyang ibaba kasabay nung kanyang notice to explain. At the same time, sinasaad din po ng ating batas na hindi yan dapat lalagpas ng 30 days. Dahil pag yan po ay lumagpas ng 30 days, sabihin natin na hindi pa tapos ang inyong investigation, wala pa po kayong decision regarding sa kaso at gusto niyo siya i-extend, pag in-extend niyo po yan ng 30 days, with pay na po yan. Okay? So yung 30 days na preventive suspension po ay without pay po yan. Pag gustong i-extend, magkakaroon na po yan ng pay. Higit sa lahat, pag napatunayan po na walang kasalanan ng isang taong nilagay sa preventive suspension, kailangan nyo pong bayaran yung mga araw na naka-preventive suspension po siya. Kasi wala naman pala siyang kasalanan. Okay? So yan po yung tatandaan natin ha, hindi po basta-basta ang preventive suspension. Huwag masyado pong trigger happy pagdating sa preventive suspension dahil yan po ay para lang po sa mga mabibigat talagang kaso na maaari pong magkaroon or mag-lead sa serious and imminent threat to the life and property of the employer and or his co-workers. Ayan po. Yan lang po yung ating tatandaan. Coach Darwin, back to you
Si
po.
Mentor Tina ang ating tanungin. Madalas ba ang
Oo.
preventive suspension sa industry ninyo?
Mukhang tinutulungan ata ni Mentor Tina si Ka Ernie to log in right
Okay.
now.
Sige,
Oo, kaya
sige.
wala si Mentor Tina. Pero I think madalas yan lalo na sa sa retail kasi 'di ba yung kumbaga risk ng theft sa retail
Correct,
industry
oo.
malaki eh. So
Mhm.
usually naman yan pag yung mga ganyang kaso yung may theft or yung mga may physical injury, dyan tayo talaga nagkakaroon ng preventive suspension.
Pero sa BPO, Mentor Rona, if you'd remember, di ba, this is actually pretty much common, yung preventive suspension, di ba? I think one of the things that one of the most frequent cases na nagre-request ang operations leader ng preventive suspension is, for example, there is, yun nga, bukod sa fraud or theft,
Mm-mm.
is yung mga napatunayan na successive or consistent droppings of calls, 'di ba? Yung kasi it
Correct.
affects the business, 'di ba?
Oo.
Pag pag, pag napatunayan na you have X number of drop calls and you're not answering the clients or customers at the other end of the line, then and talagang naka-record siya at may documentation na nangyayari dahil naka-QA ka na tatrack yung inyong mga activities, then it's a possible grounds for suspension. Kung paano lang
Yes,
siya
yes.
posisyon ng HR leader or ng people manager ninyo. Okay, so let's
Correct.
go
Kasi yung
to
ano yun yung sa ganung kaso, ano yun kumbaga para na rin merong serious threat na rin yun
sa
doon sa
business,
business
di ba?
Oo, kaya pwede pa
Correct.
rin siyang pumasok sa preventive
Oo.
suspension.
Oo.
Ayan.
Ang dami ko kasi nababasa sa HR group na bigla na lang daw sinuspend ang isang empleyado na walang due process. Ang itatanong natin dapat lagi is, ano yung reason kung bakit siya sinuspend? Saka anong klaseng suspension? Kasi kung preventive suspension ito po ay ayon sa batas. Pero alamin din natin ano yung kaso, 'di ba? Kasi alam mo naman, 'di ba, pag ang balita pasalin-salin imbis na preventive suspension pala yung naging reason kung bakit na-suspend ng empleyado kasi nga meron siyang ginawang pagkakamali na impacting sa business or impacting sa co-employees niya. Ang lalaganap sa grapevine is suspend lang without any reason, 'di ba? So, let's make sure, sabi nga kanina, part of the respect po pwede natin ibigay sa ating leaders then is being able to trust them on their decisions. Kasi yung mga leader kung sa batas. Okay? So let's go ahead with our advisory. I'll do the advisory for labor. The Department of Labor has advised for the payment of wages. This is under advisory number 3, series of 2022. This is with regards to the payment of wages for the special non-working day, which was February 25. That was last Friday in celebration of the EDSA People Power Revolution. So for employees who did not work, the no work, no pay principle will apply unless there is a company policy, practice, or collective bargaining agreement granting payment on a special day. So basically, itong particular this is basically yung no work, no pay applies, mas naka-focus to sa mga daily paid workers, di ba? So for employees who work, so basic wage plus 130% plus COLA. For employees who rendered overtime work, hourly rate of the basic wage times 130% times 130% of the number of hours worked. Now, for employees naman po ang nagtrabaho nung holiday na yon, kahit na rest day nila, that's basic wage times 150%. Now, for employees who work overtime on the rest day, so the computation is basic wage times 150% times 130% times the number of hours worked. Kung meron pa po kayong mga tanong, ito po ang holiday computation or premium computation ng holiday pay. Makikita nyo po yan sa DOLE website or sa ating file section ng Philippines HR Group. Okay? Now, for SSS updates, Mentor Rona, you can proceed with updates from SSS.
Yes, pinapaalala po ng SSS, ingat-ingat po tayo sa pagdi-disclose ng ating mga personal information regarding our SSS details, yung ating pong SSS number, date of birth, address, contact numbers at contact details na nilalagay po natin. Ingat po tayo, lalong-lalo na po doon sa mga tumatawag at nagsasabi na sila po ay SSS employee at kanila po kayong tutulungan sa pagpapile ng inyong mga claims for benefits or yung mga claims for privileges po. Dahil po po, si SSS po ay po pwede nyo naman po ang i-transact na po online. So pag magpa-file po ng loans, magpa-file ng mga benefits, kadalasan po yan po ay po pwede nyo na po yung i-file online or humingi po kayo ng tulong sa inyo pong HR. For self-employed employees, self-employed members po, mga voluntary members, mas maganda po na i-check nyo na lang po yung inyong online access at dun po kayo mag-transact. Huwag po tayong mag-shortcut po, pwede rin po kayong tumawag sa kanila or mag-message sa kanilang page or pumunta diretso po sa pinakamalapit na SSS sa inyo dahil wala po dapat bayad ang pagtatransact with SSS. Ayan po.
Agree.
At pinapaalala din po ni SSS na ang kanila pong PRRP or Pandemic Relief and Restructuring Program has been extended. Si PRRP 4 po or yung para po sa kanilang Housing Loan Restructuring and Penalty Condonation Program, ito po ay na-extend hanggang May 21, 2022. At ang kanila naman pong PRRP 5 ay na-extend din po hanggang May 14, 2022. Si PRRP 5 po ang ating Short-Term Member Loan Penalty Condonation Program. So dapat yan po ay noong February 14 pero in-extend po nila hanggang May 14. So may panahon pa po kayo, habol na, wag niyo na pong antayin pa ang deadline bago pa po kayo mag-apply. Ngayon pa lang po ay mag-apply na po kayo. Okay? At pinapaalalahanan din po ni SSS na kung kayo po ay magpa-file ng inyong pong retirement claim, po pwede niyo na po yung gawing online. Hindi niyo na po kailangan pang pumunta sa kanilang opisina. Just go online, click niyo lang po yung tab nila para doon sa pagpa-file po ng inyong retirement claim application. Punta lang sa registered account nyo sa my.sss. Dapat kayo po ay merong either a UMID card enrolled as an ATM or meron na po kayong approved disbursement account. Ang approved disbursement account niyo po ay kailangang PesoNet accredited na bangko, e-wallet, remittance transfer companies, yung mga cash payout outlets. Yun po ang mga tinatanggap right now kay my.sss as a disbursement account po. So make sure po na meron na po kayong enrolled para dire-diretso po ang pagpa-file ng retirement claim niyo po. Kung kayo po ay magpa-file for monthly pension, dapat po kayo ay merong at least 120 contributions prior to the semester of the month of RCA submission. Kung lump sum naman po, at least 1 month contribution para kayo po ay makapag-file ng inyong retirement claim. Sa mga nagmo-monitor po ng kanilang retirement, hindi pa naman magre-retire pero gusto nang malaman kung pwede mag-retire, actually meron pong ganyang access si SSS. Sa my.sss, makikita nyo po kung magkano na ang retirement benefit na maaari nyo makuha so far. Tandaan po natin na para kayo po ay makapag-file ng retirement claim application at para makapag-claim po ng inyong retirement benefit, kailangan po ay masunod ang mga sumusunod na conditions. Number 1, dapat meron po kayong outstanding stock investment loan program, SLP, or privatization loan program. Dapat yan po ay clear in time po or timely po inyong pagbabayad. Si member po ay may dependent na child or children under guardianship. Member is incapacitated under guardianship. Applicant under the portability law or the bilateral social security agreement. Member has application for adjustment or readjustment of claim. And member has unclaimed benefit from a deceased member. Yung mga yan po ay maaari pong mag-file online for retirement claim po. Qualified members, pag kayo po ay self-employed, voluntary, at employed members at least 60 to 64 years old by the time na ma-file po ang retirement claim application. Otherwise, dapat po 65 years old upon date of retirement whether or not still employed or employed. Ayan po. So yan po yung mga requirements po ni SSS pagdating po sa retirement claim application po nila. My.sss lang po ang ating pong pupuntahan. Okay. Ayan. At reminder lang po, yung online certification po, pagkailangan nyo po for employers, kailangan niyo po i-certify yung retirement claim application filed by your employees. Hindi po yan mapaprocess kung walang certification ng employer. Para po ito sa mga covered employees. For voluntary members, huwag niyo pong problemahin ito. But if you're a covered employee, dadaan po yan sa inyo pong employer. Si employer ay isi-certify, dapat may active status at registered sa my.sss portal. At yung latest employer po ang magsi-certify. So, dapat updated din po ang records ninyo. Magkakaroon po kayo ng email notification, isi-send po sa inyo para po malaman nyo na meron kayong pending request for certification. So, employers, make sure na tinitingnan po natin yan. Minsan napupunta po kasi sa junk mail yung email. Tapos, acknowledgement of action taken by employer on the request. Masisend naman po yan kay employee para alam po ni employee na kayo po ay nag-certify na. And then, meron pong expiration po yung request for online certification. So, you need to make sure po na bago po mag-expire, na-certify nyo na agad. Employees na nagpa-file po for online na retirement claim application, as soon as nakapag-file po kayo, heads upan nyo na po yung HR nyo para hindi nila mamimiss out yung inyo pong kailangan na certification. Okay? Retirement benefit claims of employee members without the required online certification shall automatically expire after 10 calendar days from the date of successful online submission. After po niyan ay kailangan nyo na pong mag-refile. Paano po magsicertify ng RCA pag separated employees naman? Punta lang po sa my.sss employer account, click certification under the e-services tab, review po lahat ng details ng separated employee kasi yung ang titignan po ni SSS ay palaging yung last or yung latest na employer. So kung kayo po yung pinakahuling employer, sa inyo po yan papasok, basahin maigi ang mga detalye. Kung tama naman po, lahat ay in order, click po ang yes para mag-proceed po sa certification at para ma-process na po ni SSS. Ayan.
Okay. Mentors Tina, mukhang may bago news ka regarding pag-ibig.
Opo, kakalabas lang po this week ang Pag-ibig Fund. So the Pag-ibig Fund announces dividend rates for their regular savings and MP2 savings as of 2021. So sa Pag-ibig regular savings, it's 5.16%. And then sa MP2, it's 5.66%. A lot of people were a bit disappointed because last year, the previous year, it was 6.12%. And the
Correct.
previous year before that, it was around 8%. So people feel na parang pababa ng pababa, ang baba naman, right? But we have to remember, Pag-ibig MP2 and MP2 savings is government backed. It's one of the safest investment vehicles out there. And the time deposit currently is less than 1%. Okay? So, pwede, sabihin mo, pag naman, kunyari, for example, nag-equities ako, nag-bonds ako, di ba, mas malaki yung makukuha ko sa Bitcoin nga, nakakuha nga ako ng 20% or 30%. Pag Axie naman, nakakuha naman ako ng ganito. You have to understand, with more rewards come more risk. And the reason why all these cryptocurrencies or their stocks promises higher returns is also because they do entail higher risk. Meaning to say, pag pinasok mo yung pera, hindi po garantisado na maibabalik sa'yo yung pera na yon, at least kung magkano yung binigay mo or mas mataas. It's highly possible that the money that you invest on riskier investments might be wiped out. Okay? Might be wiped out any day. There was a time nga, I think last month, Bitcoin went down 30% within a few days. So, ganun yung laban. Whereas with Pag-ibig MP2, 5.66% is still relatively higher versus other similarly risked investments out there. That means po na kung anong pera pinasok po ninyo, may maibabalik po pa rin yon, at still, it's still a relatively good rate. So, wag tayo masyadong ma-disappoint if you still have excess money. I personally is still encouraging everyone to go and recognize MP2 funds. This is another alternative for people with excess savings or who are looking at educational or insurance plans. Okay? Kasi compared to educational insurance plans, possible pag kunyari matanda na yung anak nyo, baka wala na po yung plan na yon. Pero with MP2, it's only a 5-year investment vehicle at babalik naman po yung pera ninyo sa inyo and may dividendo pa. Alright? Next.
Agree. Siguro i-highlight lang natin, no? I remember talking to one of my financial advisors about
Yes.
investing in MP2. Ang sabi nga niya, yung ibang investment vehicle, may risk, pwede kang malugi. Pero pag
Mawala.
nag-invest ka sa government, lalo na sa MP2, sa pag-ibig, hindi malugi man sila, guaranteed ang pera mo. Kasi unang-una,
Mm,
ang gobyerno ang nag-iimprenta ng pera. So hindi kayo
mm.
pwedeng malugi sa pag sa gobyerno na kayo nag-invest. Okay?
Opo.
So,
Tapos one more thing, pag-ibig is different from PhilHealth. Okay?
mm,
Very different. They're two different agencies. Kasi
entities.
when I push, for example, the Pag-ibig MP2 fund to my friends and family and whoever wants to listen, they're always saying, eh, di ba maraming nakawan doon? That's not Pag-ibig. It's the other one. So, make it very clear. Pareho silang P, but they're two different things. All right? Next. And with regards to that, we would also like to encourage those watching the HR Cafe to enroll in your Pag-ibig Loyalty Fund, Loyalty Card Plus, because you can get up to 30% discount in over 360 stores nationwide. Kasama na po dyan ang McDonald's. So there. Next. We must remember as well that this is also the Philippine Heart Month. And while I talked about the problems about this entity before, meron pa ring meron pa ring mga benepisyo that we get as part of being members. So for example, surgery for tetralogy, phalloid in children gets you 320,000. And next slide. Coronary artery bypass graft, 550,000. Ventricular septal defect in children gets you 250,000. And ito po ay binabawasan na lang po diretso sa iyong hospital bill when you are a PhilHealth member. So maliit lang po ang
Napakalaking halaga niyan, no?
contribution.
Napakalaking tulong niyan para
Yes.
sa mga tao.
A lot of people believe wala siyang kwenta, pero may kwenta siya pag nagkasakit ka. Kasi makikita mo talaga yung savings na yon pag ikaw ay na-ospital. Next.
Now, let me just talk about our sponsors. So, members of the Philippines HR Group and all of you guys here at the HR Cafe, if you are planning your summer getaway, since it's already summer in a few days, we would like to invite you to go to El Puerto Marina Beach Resort and Vacation Club. They have resorts and vacation club in Pangasinan and Boracay and also in Palawan. So if you want to have special rates and discounts, exclusive for the Philippines HR Group, please reach out to the FB page of El Puerto Marina Beach Resort and Vacation Club. Inform them that you're a member of the Philippines HR Group and you will be given special rates and discounts. Okay? Now, next is that for MaxiCare, MaxiCare is our partner and they are providing a postpaid healthcare card. And they've launched two products. That's MaxiCare Prima Silver. This is for individuals up to 59 years of age. And MaxiCare Prima Gold. These are for seniors 60 years and above. If you would like to give your family members, your employees, with a postpaid HMO na hindi nyo kailangang matali sa isang contract, at least ito postpaid, pwede nyo bilhin kahit saan. Diba? Or you can actually shop at www.shopmaxicare.com.ph, and for members of Philippines HR Group, there is special discounts if you buy your postpaid HMO card, either MaxiCare Prima Silver or MaxiCare Prima Gold. Okay? Next is that with our partnership with People Matters Singapore and People Matters India, we would like to inform everyone that on March 10, 2022, there will be a Southeast Asian Futurist Forum that will be hosted by People Matters. And the title of the event is Think Big, Think Bold, and Think 10 times. So look at your existing business models and approaches from a radical different perspective. There will be a lot of executives, known worldwide HR leaders and thought leaders who will be joining this event. And if you are interested, just reach out to People Matters FB page or People Matters website, and you can inform them that you're a member of the Philippines HR Group and you're entitled for exclusive discounts. Okay? And ito, this is a new partnership, and Tangier reached out to us because there's an ongoing e-commerce program from the Department of Trade and Industry. So ang Department of Trade and Industry po ay nagpartner po with Tangier and the Philippines HR Group para po mag-facilitate ng DTI e-commerce job outlook survey. And this will be used by the Philippine government, by the current administration, to create a valuable nationwide report pagdating po sa e-commerce jobs in the Philippines, as well as paano ba ginagamit ang e-commerce in different industries. Now, maglalabas po ang survey, ang Philippines HR Group, and sa bawat member po ng Philippines HR Group na magpa-participate sa survey, meron po kayo makukuhang 500 pesos token, at ito po ay padadala sa inyo via GCash within 1 to 2 days. So please watch out tomorrow. Ipo-post po natin ang survey with regards to the DTI e-commerce job outlook. Hindi lang po importante yung 500 pesos kasi makakatulong po kayo para po mabigyang linaw at mabigyan ng valuable information. Ano nga ba ang state ng e-commerce sa Pilipinas? At meron bang future na trabaho? At meron bang future ang e-commerce sa iba't ibang industries at companies? So, sa mga HR leaders, watch out. Tomorrow, we'll be posting the link for the survey. Ito po ay different industries. Pipili lang po kayo ng kung saan industry kayo nandun. At ang survey po, wala pong 5 minutes. And you'll be able to not only help the Philippine government, ang DTI, para makakreate ng e-commerce outlook report, but also you'll be rewarded with a 500 peso token. Okay? Now, if you have any questions with regards to HR matters, please post it at the Philippines HR Group Facebook page. And we are also available at LinkedIn. Just look for Philippines HR Group in the group section in LinkedIn. Also, we would like to encourage you, if you want to watch previous episodes and previous learning programs of the Philippines HR Group, please like our FB page, the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa. Sa Facebook po yan. And if your company would like to be a sponsor, please reach out to any of our mentors. You can reach out to me, Mentors Tina, Mentor Shona, or Mentors Bern. Or you can reach out to my email, darwinrivers@yahoo.com. Okay? And as promised, we would have no other than Mr. Ernesto Espinosa, a respectable, seasoned HR leader here in the Philippines, and Mr. Espinosa, or Sir Ernie, Ka-Ernie, will be talking about the meaning and rationale behind employee relations.
All right.
So for proper introduction, I'll leave it to Mentors Tina. Tina, do
All
you have...
right. Sir Ernesto Espinosa is a retired senior HR executive and guru. He holds the diplomate in people management. He has a BSc MBA in CHRCA. He is the past president, okay, of the World Federation of People Management Association from 2008 to 2010. He was deemed as the PMAP People Manager of the Year 2006, and he was also the PMAP President of 2002. Sir Ernesto is a book author, writer, mentor slash coach, professor, stroke survivor, and God is good all the time advocate. He's very, very famous in the PHRG group for his many different views, but we always share the same advocacies with him in giving away free learnings to all those who will ask for it. We apologize to Sir Ernesto that he had a little bit of a difficult time trying to log on, but we are very grateful and appreciative of him joining us today. Sir Ernesto, we'd like to bring you in to the StreamYard link. Ayan. Ayan,
Hi,
Sir
Sir Ernie.
Ernesto.
Hi, Ka-Ernie.
Ka-Ernie, we're live.
Rinig ba tayo ni Ka-Ernie?
I think so, yeah.
Ayan.
Yan, perfect. Yan, nagana lang siya. Sir Ernesto?
How are you po?
Ka-Ernie, can you hear us?
Hello? Sir Ernie? Just talk lang, sir. Parang inaano yata. Yan.
Carly,
Hello?
can you hear us na po?
Ka-Ernie, can you hear us?
Di ata tayo rinig.
Sir?
I think, wait lang. Let's,
Wait lang, ha?
So while Ka-Ernie is trying to fix a technical issue from his end, employee engagement. Employee engagement is very important kasi most of the people leaders and most companies or most HR, pag sinabing employee engagement, ito yung mga employee initiatives, mga programs na ang kala nila pag sinabing bay decor, pag sinabing mga pa-contest sa HR, pag sinabing game days, sport fest, Christmas party, ano ba, yung mga team building activities,
mga
yun ang
Friday pizza.
konsepto. 'Di ba? O pagbibigay ng pizza, yung mga pizza days, yun ang konsepto ng mga people leaders saka ng mga HR na employee engagement program to, magpakain tayo. Employee engagement program to, magkaroon tayo ng singing and dancing contest, 'di ba? Pero hindi nila naintindihan na mas malalim at mas malawak ang ibig sabihin at ang kahulugan ng employee engagement. Kasi pag ginawa mong tama ang employee engagement, uh, sabi nga, di ba, employees who are rightfully engaged are more productive. And this is not this is according to research. They're 40% more productive if they're
Ayan
highly
na.
engaged.
Sir
Sir
Ernie, we
Ernie,
can
can you
hear
hear
you.
us?
We can hear you, actually. But you're not talking.
Mukhang ano ata. Can you hear us po, Ka-Ernie?
Ka-Ernie, baka kailangan po ng headset?
Headset. Oo. Kanina po rinig na po kayo.
Kanina.
Okay, babalik tayo doon, Rona and Ina, no? Ano nga ba yung So, employee engagement ba yung magpakain tayo sa office? O yung
Naku,
magpa-contest ka ng sing and dance? O yung mga yung mga, di ba sa call center, madalas yung mga bay decor activities, yung mga, tawag dito, yung mga
pakain pag Friday.
pagkain pag Friday, yung mga birthday bash, di ba? Is that
Ayan.
something that you would consider employee engagement?
That's part. For me, that's part of employee engagement. But that's not the whole employee engagement. And hindi rin dahil sa, let's say, mababang engagement, kailangan mo na magpa-pizza, magpa-party, magpa-bay decor, o kung ano pa man. It's a common misconception eh. Before you can do employee engagement, and I might be getting ahead of Ka-Ernie's topic for today, before you do any of these events, dapat naiintindihan mo muna, ano bang nangyayari sa engagement? What's causing the disengagement? What's causing some people to become engaged? And then you work from there. Okay? Tapos, iniisip kasi natin palagi, uy, ang daming disengaged na employees. Uy, I have a lot of employees na sobrang mareklamo, disengaged sila. Actually, isa pa yun sa common misconception. Yung mga mareklamo empleyado ay hindi pa yan disengaged. Engaged pa yan. Kaya yan nagre-reklamo. Kasi may nakikita silang mali. They become disengaged if you don't do anything to the complaints. Yung mga reklamo nila, mga rants nila, pag hindi nyo pinapansin yan, hindi nyo pinapakinggan, di ba sabi nga natin kanina, appreciation, the feeling na naririnig ka. Pag hindi natin ginagawa yan, dyan ngayon papasok yung disengagement. And people who are truly engaged, they will not tell you that they are disengaged, they will not tell you that they are not happy, they will just leave the company. Mukhang si Ka-Ernie ay nagsasalita na po, hindi lang po natin siya marinig. Ka-Ernie, hindi ka po namin marinig right now. Ka-Ernie,
It might be
po.
better to just use the phone's speaker. Don't use the microphone na lang. Kasi we heard you a while ago.
Opo.
We heard you a while ago without the
without the microphone.
without the microphone. Can he, sir? Hello? Remove the microphone. Don't use the microphone, sir. Sa
Hindi, oo.
I think you need to get his attention lang. For me lang, sa employee engagement, kasi we have to look at the description of what employee engagement is. Employee engagement describes the level of enthusiasm and dedication a worker feels towards their job. I feel as a manager, masyado yata tayong nagfo-focus sa superficial part of employee engagement, which is mga birthday parties, rewards, team building, pakain. I honestly feel na parang dito siya mas uso sa Pilipinas. Pero sa ibang bansa, hindi yan talaga masyado yung if you want to increase the enthusiasm of people for their job, you don't really pakain them. In fact, ang much better is to engage them more in doing the job description than in feeding them per se. Wait lang. Sir Ernie? Wait, let me just ano lang ha. Right. So with everyone po, I want to ask everyone, what is your description with regards to employee engagement? So for there, I'd like to greet some of the people. So we have Joannes de la Cruz Gargarita, looking forward to learn. Lea May Osita Ampong is BSBA for Negros Oriental State University, Gulguluhan. Rosie Meli Anonuevo Pamposa, blessed Sunday everyone. Cha Aguilar says, nice to see po si Ka Ernie, friend from PMAP. Budoy Sweden says hello, and Edison says still no audio. Yeah, so we'll fix that na yun na. Wait lang ha.
Carney, you're on mute right now. Let me just unmute you. Hello, Carney? Ako, nakamute na rin po kayo from your end.
Oo.
How do you unmute?
From
We can,
his end.
from his end eh.
Can you
Kailangan niya
hear
mag-unmute.
us sa Facebook? Is he talking? Muted. Can he see us? Okay. Coach Darwin, what is employee engagement for you, please? We'll figure it
For
out.
me, employee engagement, can you hear me? Good.
Ayan.
For me, employee engagement really is being able to understand what what is important to the employees for them to be able to do their work correctly and be able to find value on the work that they do on a daily basis with regards to their performance inside the organization. So it's not only rewards and recognition eh. For me, employee engagement will be is your is your compensation benefit supportive of your employee engagement initiatives? Is your training and development supportive of your employee engagement programs? Are the policies inside your organization being able to fully support initiatives that would make employees more engaged? 'Di ba? So hindi lang talaga siya basta fun and games. Every aspect or every facets of HR contributes to employee engagement.
Ayan.
Sir
I
Ernie,
think
can you hear
naka-ano
us?
na. Mm-mm. Ka
You
Ernie,
can
can you
talk
hear
na,
us
Sir
na po?
Ernie.
He's unmuted na. Can
Oo.
he talk?
Ka Ernie? Wala pa rin sound.
Oo, walang sound si Ka Ernie.
Oo.
Bakit kaya?
Oo nga, pero kanina narinig natin siya eh. Ka Ernie, mukhang mahina din yung ano,
Yung
connection.
ganda.
Ayan, medyo mahina lang ata yung internet connection. Ka Ernie?
Naka-full naman yung ano niya, yung mic volume niya.
Ka Ernie, can you hear us po? Ayan.
Ka Ernie.
Medyo nag-buffering yung kanyang connection.
Okay. So, how about our while waiting for Ka Ernie, no, let's just ask our fellow HR leaders and fellow HR professionals, how would you define or what is employee engagement for you guys? I'm seeing a lot of HR leaders online. Edison Andamo, July, sino ba itong mga nandito kakalina pa? Um, we are seeing, a lot of HR professionals online. So according to Val Tamayo, employee engagement more when employees are engaged more when they know that they are in a safe environment. You can tell them to trust you. You have to make them want to trust you, and that starts with respect. This is in
True.
relations to kanina, no, sa
Oo.
ating wow quote for the week.
True. Nako. Actually, according to studies, yung engagement, when it comes to employee engagement, a good chunk of the people that that we should be engaging are those na tinatawag nating fence-sitters. Kumbaga, it's illogical to focus your attention on those who you are sure na 100% disengaged na. What you need to do is to have those who are fence-sitters, yung mga employees who are neither engaged nor disengaged, to become engaged. Kasi if you don't get them to become engaged, they will become disengaged at some point in time. And then, maaapektuhan nila, pati yung mga tao na, yung iba pang mga fence-sitters, at even yung mga engaged naman ng mga empleyado. So, dapat
And
yung
not
mga
only
ganun
that,
naiintindihan
no,
natin.
not only that, Mentor Ron, aside from nakakahawa ang disengagement, nakakahawa ang di ba ano yan meron tayong kasabihan dati na ang isang bulok na kamatis, pag hinalo mo sa isang kaing ng fresh na tomatoes or fresh na kamatis, lahat nung nasa kaing na yon magiging bulok din. Ganun kasi yung effect ng isang disengaged employee. Yung sinasabi ni Mentor Rona na uh, pag hindi natin pag hindi tayo nag-focus na i-resolve isang issue, concern ng isang empleyado, that particular employee will talk negatively to other employees in the organization and will also affect the morale, productivity of the people inside his or her department. So, might as well, nip it at the bud, being able to address those concerns and make sure that employees are engaged. One of the impacting um, cause of disengagement, if I'm not mistaken, Mentor Rona, and hope you could agree with this, is attrition. Di ba? Alam natin na napakahirap mag-hire. Napakahirap mag-source, mag-hire, mag-recruit, at may cost implication yan sa company. Kasi pag nag-source ka, nag-hire ka, iti-train mo yan, may significant investment ka, hindi pa nag-ROI dahil because of disengage sila, maaalis kagad or ma-attract kagad si empleyado. At it goes with the cycle. Dahil wala sila, kailangan nawalan ka ng empleyado, magsa-source, mag-hire, magpa-process ka na naman uli, iti-train mo na naman uli, hanggat hindi mo na-resolve yung issue kung ba't disengaged employee, you're wasting money. Ang tawag doon ng former boss ko is you're putting water in a bucket with holes, 'di ba?
True. True.
Talagang naglalabas ka ng maraming engagement initiatives pero hindi mo naman na-resolve yung talagang problema ng department mo o problema ng mga employees mo. Hindi mo na-resolve yung problem. Perfect example in the BPO industry, di ba? Ang taas-taas ng calls, ang taas-taas ng queue. Dahil mataas ang queue, ang reason is because kulang kayo sa manpower. Kulang kayo sa manpower kasi hindi maganda yung projection ng workforce nyo. Dahil sa hindi maganda yung projection ng workforce, mataas ang queue, yung mga tao pagod. 'Di ba? Kasi sobrang taas ng queue. Pag pagod yung mga tao, nagkakasakit sila, nag-absent. Pag nag-absent sila, tapos nag-absent na nga dahil may sakit, tapos pagpasok nila, pagagalitan mo pa, hihingan mo pa ng kung ano-ano, kumbaga meron ka pang mga side comments. So instead of you appreciating or resolving the issues of the employees, you're putting um, negativity rin as a leader. Ang mangyayari niya, mag-resign na lang si employee, mag-give up na lang siya, di ba? So
True.
that's not really good in the business. So resolve the issue and your employee engagement initiatives will be more successful. Ka-Ernie, can you hear us?
Ayan.
Can you hear me
Ka-Ernie,
now,
okay.
everyone?
Ayan! Yay! Yes, Ka-Ernie, we can hear you na po.
We can hear you, Ka-Ernie.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you,
now,
sir.
Tina?
Yes po.
Can you hear me now?
Yes po. Rinig ka na po, Ka-Ernie.
Hello?
Yes po, Ka-Ernie. We can hear you na po.
Can you hear me now?
Yes po.
Yes, Ka-Ernie, we can hear you.
What's happening? I cannot hear you. But I cannot
Sige,
hear you.
sige.
You can hear me, but I cannot.
You can talk, Ka-Ernie. You can start with your discussion about employee engagement.
Ito yung magandang example ng Murphy's Law. If something will go wrong, it will. Ayan.
Because we're live. May
Yes.
sabi nga ni Bong Toplano, naku, mukhang disengaged si Ka-Ernie. Hindi po siya disengaged. Ano lang po, may technical issues lang po si Ka-Ernie ngayon.
Yung mic po niya ang disengaged.
Correct. According to one Facebook user, to add employee engagement is not the same as employee satisfaction. Totoo yan. Employee engagement does not equate to employee satisfaction. In the same
Yes.
manner, employers is committed to the development program of each employee. It's a two-way process.
True.
Ka-Ernie, can you hear us?
Ayan. Can you hear us na po? Ako mukhang na naman. Pati si Tina, hindi na natin naririnig. Tina, hindi kita marinig.
Sabi ni Johannes de la Cruz Gargarita, meron daw siya experience with the company that they're engaging with employees, pero napapansin daw niya, may favoritism. I mean, they would address other concerns based sa kung gaano siya kakilala or ka-close yung employee, and that's unfair. So, sinasabi niya, yung mga malalapit lang daw sa people manager or HR, yung nabibigyan ng pansin. And yeah, that's actually one of the reasons for this engagement, no?
True. Pero we also have to be careful kasi baka naman kaya lang nakikita na yung mga malalapit lang kasi baka yung malalapit ang mas vocal. Baka yung mga iba hindi sila ganoon ka-vocal kaya hindi rin sila naririnig. Syempre, we also have to speak up.
Ano ba yung mga initiatives natin para malaman natin yung concerns sa mga employees? We do what? Focus group discussions, right?
Correct.
We do one-on-ones.
Surveys.
We do skip level discussions.
Yes.
We do town halls.
Yes.
we do, ano pa ba, mga ginagawa natin. Um, we also try to get feedback, 'di ba?
Mm-mm.
Actually yung sa amin sa aming company meron kami tinatawag na ano mood meter. Yung mood
Mm.
meter is
Mm-mm.
when you start the day, you start the day understanding the mood of the employee. Meron siyang certain icon, ang tawag doon.
Smiley
Ah,
face tsaka ano.
Oo, smiley face, saka sad face or angry face.
Oo.
I-click lang 'yon sa desktop niya. Tapos ano 'yun, i-compare 'yon doon sa mood niya at the start of the day at mood niya at the end of the day. At pag may malaking difference, then we try to find out ano yung naging drivers kung bakit biglang 60% nag-start ang employees na okay naman sila. 70% let's just for example 60% started their day that they are looking forward for a productive day. 10% are okay. The rest are just say they did not answer the survey. Pero pagdating ng end of the day, biglang 80% ang naka-angry face or 80% yung naka-sad face. Ano yung drivers? Kasi pwedeng ang
Oo.
drivers is workload, manager,
Okay.
pwedeng ang
Kasamahan
drivers.
sa work.
Yan, we can hear
So
him
you're
already.
talking about of the
Ayan.
Ayan na. Ka-Ernie, we've been waiting
organization.
for you.
We can hear you already.
You have the
Perfect.
company philosophy.
Mm.
You have organization rituals. You have company policies. And you have all sorts of things about the organization ranging from vision, mission, and values. That's I. That's O rather. The second pillar is individual. You have individual beliefs, individual whims and caprices, individual habits, and all those that pertain to the employee. So, since there is the organization and also the employee, we have to integrate the two. Okay? Because, you know, companies have different values, and so do employees because of their upbringing. So, how do you ensure that the two will cooperate with each other? Okay. Because once you integrate the organization and the individual, you would have what you call culture. So when you talk about the acronym O, organization, I, individual, and C, culture, you have OIC. Okay? Now, what is culture? Simply put, it's the things we do around here. And if you want a real definition, I have my notes here. Rob Stacy, in his book Managing the Unknowable, defined culture as a set of beliefs or assumptions that a group of people share concerning how to see things, how to interpret events, what is valid to question, what answers are acceptable, how to behave towards others, and how to do things. So, when you talk about the culture, you talk about what is being done, how in the company, how people perceived it, perceive the company, and there are actually three elements of culture. Okay, you have the artifacts, how people perceive you as the organization. So when you go to the office of a particular company, what do you see around you? Okay, do you see the reception in a topsy-turvy condition? Do you see large paintings in the front desk? So, how do people perceive you? And these are called artifacts. And that is part of culture. The second one is espouse values. So, when you go inside the office, does the receptionist welcome you, greet you? And are the guards very respectful? I can cite this. No, there was a time when I was chair of the awards committee of PMAP for Employer of the Year, and awards is actually a project of none other than my kumpare and friend, incumbent executive director Rene Plana, formerly vice president of San Miguel Corporation. And at that time, we had to contend ourselves with interviewing the executives of three large companies. And with Rene's permission, maybe I can reveal those companies. These are Saudi Aramco, and then you have Philippine Heart Center, and you have White Swaco, an American pharmaceutical company. So you would think that because of the huge resources of Saudi Aramco with its wealth and also Wyatt Swaco, they would have lorded it over Philippine Heart Center, which is a local company. At that time, the chairman of the board of judges was former Congressman Jesse Liapus, who was then the secretary of the Department of Education. And during our deliberation, many of my committee members chose either Saudi Aramco and or White Swaco, but just had a different interpretation. When you interview the CEO and the employees of both Saudi Aramco and Wyatt Swaco, they're saying different things. But when you talk to the CEO and the employees of Philippine Heart Center, in spite of their crude HR practices, they have what we call esprit de corps or team spirit. In other words, when you talk about the mission, vision, values of Philippine Heart Center, what the CEO would tell you is the same as what the employees will tell you. From the CEO down to the clerk, janitor, rank and file. So that in essence is what we consider as a good culture. And of course, the third element of culture is underlying assumptions or unwritten rules. So even if you don't talk to each other, people know what to do under any situation or any circumstance. Kumbaga sa Tagalog, in the vernacular, magkatingin na lang sila, alam na nilang gagawin. Isn't that a good culture? Now, I outlined here, with your permission, at least 12 to 13 elements of culture building practices. And let me go over them one by one. This is actually based on my experience. You know, I had the privilege of talking to world stages in HR. And there was a time with Jerry, we were invited as concurrent speakers in 2 sessions in Sri Lanka. And I was under the impression that I already sent my PowerPoint presentation to the organizers in Sri Lanka. But when I was about to present, I was told that I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. So from that time on, I became more and more confident of speaking impromptu. Because before, whenever I come up with a PowerPoint presentation, I had the tendency to look as a guide, my presentation. And it's a no-no. You certainly cannot look at your PowerPoint presentation as some sort of a código. So you speak from the heart. You speak extemporaneously. Okay? The problem at the time is Jerry and I were wondering how come the Sri Lankans and Indians, whenever they listen to us, would nod horizontally, not vertically. And we had the good laugh when we were told that Indians and Sri Lankans are the exact opposite. When they approve, they nod horizontally. So Jerry and I talked after the break. Pinsan, nagustuhan ba nila yung presentation natin? Mukhang ang dami umiiling eh. Okay. That was supposed to be a joke. The first culture building practice is, of course, leadership. In any organization effort, it should always be top-led, line managed, and staff supported. If you don't have the imprimatur of the CEO, you're nothing. The CEO sets the stage. So whether his management style is strike when the iron is hot or act only when success is certain, definitely you have to rely on the personal values of the CEO. The second practice is what they call mensetsu. In Japanese, it is referred to as face-to-face contact. You know, I read one time in a PHRG post, how come, ask a member, there's so many people who back out. They will sign the contract and then after a few days, they will back out. And we were able to find a solution to that. So we would recruit 100 operators per week and 7 engineers per week. And while we had so many backouts several months before we started what we call job preview of job or job orientation, when we started the job preview, there were no backouts. Okay? Why? Because we laid down the expectations of employees. There never was a day when an employee would say, "Oh, you did not discuss that." But we do not paint a rosy picture about our company. We tell it like it is. For example, you know, if you work with us, you cannot leave the office until your boss leaves. And if you're an engineer, 1 week you will be in the day shift, another week you will be in the night shift, and alternately. And we discuss the salary pronto. So expectations are laid down and people understand even before the onboarding program. The third practice is strong communication. Okay. You have to tell it like it is. Okay. Because Japanese are honest people. If you screw up, you tell them. There are no excuses. There was even a time when our factory was almost gutted by fire. And a week before that, Sharp Corporation, also a Japanese company, got burned. And so the president of our company was so mad. How did this happen? Okay. And what happened actually was there was a spark in a certain electrical apparatus. And for 4 months, there was no preventive maintenance. In other words, no one took a look. at that electric apparatus. So the president, in a meeting of directors, managers, supervisors, was fuming mad. He was saying, "How can this happen?" And he was banging the table. A technician then, who was in charge of the preventive maintenance, I recall his name, okay, Martin. He said, "Mr. President, it's my fault." His first statement, "It's my fault. I'm sorry. I will do better next time." And you know what the president did instead of getting mad? He proceeded to the next topic without even minding the technician, who was brave enough to admit his mistake, because among the Japanese, one apology is better than 10 excuses. And then the fourth is transparency. You know, we installed in the different areas, strategic areas in the company, 13 electronic boards being administered by HR. So whatever new policies, announcements, new benefits, new employees there are, we announce and people can see them. In fact, I envy then Director of HR Efren Alberto, who like me became Personnel Manager of the Year of PMAP, when he was saying that, you know, even the salary structure in Moog, his former employer, was placed in bulletin boards for everyone to see. How's that for transparency? Of course, there are no new policies that are ever implemented without consulting with employees. I take the time to even stay up to 11 or 12 midnight inside the canteen to talk to 1,000 or so employees every session. Because at the time we had about 10,000 employees. Number five is values. When you take a look at our values, which is, I'm referring to Fujitsu, I wrote the values statement. And when we talk of values, you can see the acronym Fujitsu for better recall and understanding. F, fairness. U, understanding oneself and others. J, just in time, which is in essence punctuality. I, which is the most important, integrity. It is doing the right things even when no one is watching. Of course, you have thoroughness. Very few people now are no longer thorough. Marami silang nakakaligtaan kahit na sa pagsagot ng messages. You ask for questions, sasagutin lang yung natatandaan nila yung last question. But all the three questions, they will leave behind. I'm sorry for saying that, but that is true. Of course, S is sincerity. It establishes Fujitsu as an eye care company. And last but not least, unity. We are one. The sixth practice is focus on work groups and certain observance of Japanese principles. I briefly talked about this in a post, especially about the 10 surefire tips in order to be successful as an HR practitioner. And I'm referring to go to the scene. Okay. There is a principle in Japanese called Genchi, Genbutsu, Genjitsu. Okay? What does it mean? You have to go to the scene. You have to not imagine things. You have to ensure primary data, not secondary data. You cannot rely on your subordinates for feedback. You have to look at yourself first. I recall many years ago, and I was really laughing. Then Mayor Joseph Estrada was having a good time with this photo opportunity. So he was then into garbage cleaning. So he spotted a garbage, an area full of garbage. And so he had the photo op. Behind his back was the garbage. And then he asked his men, go clean that. So naturally, his men immediately cleaned the garbage. But lo and behold, the following day, a news reporter again went to the scene and saw again a pile of garbage in that specific area. So what does that tell you? Genchi, Genbutsu, Genjitsu. Go to the scene. When we first implemented the shuttle bus system, because we had about 20 shuttle bus pickup points around Metro Manila, bringing employees from different parts of Metro Manila to Canlubang and back. So naturally, on the first day, it was complete riot. Agawan ng upuan, etc., etc. But I set out policies. Number one, the first two chairs, yung magkahilera, will be reserved for pregnant women. The second policy, if, let's say, the departure time of the shuttle bus is 6 a.m., and here you are in the street corner trying to catch the bus, okay? And it's already 6:03 or 6:02. All the bus drivers are under strict instructions that they will not allow any employee to board the shuttle bus if they are late. Third, there should be queuing in all shuttle bus pickup points. Okay. On the first day, I toured all the shuttle buses areas. Magulo, but we gave some suggestions, etc., etc. On the third day, I showed up again. On the fifth day, I showed up again. The following week, I showed up only twice. And on the third week, I showed up only once. Until the employees were able to pick up the instructions of HR. That, in essence, is what you call you have to go to the scene. The other one is what you call horenso. It is composed of three words. But basically, what it means is you report, you communicate, and then you seek information flow. The trouble with people nowadays is they're making their bosses look like their subordinates. Boss, ano sa tingin mo gagawin ko? So practically you you spoon feed me. But that is not the essence of being a good employee. A good employee tries to find out from those in the know how a particular project is being done. What are some potential issues, problems? Comes up with options and analyzes the advantages and disadvantages of all the alternatives. And then in the process, you give feedback to your boss. Boss, this is what I have been doing. What do you think? And on the last meeting, you tell your boss, boss, there are 5 alternatives, and these are the merits, and these are the demerits. But I choose option 1 because, so that way, your boss will just tell you, approve, I agree. Instead of you telling your boss, what is your choice? Pag ganyan na pag-iisip mo bilang empleyado, mag-resign ka na lang. Because that is not the essence of a true employee. Okay. And then there is a very fine Japanese practice, which is what you call nemowashi. Okay. What is nemowashi? Many do not know that my style, whenever I will attend the board meeting, is that a week before the board meeting, I already talked one by one to all the directors and all the decision makers. And I convinced them to my way of thinking. In other words, when I make a presentation in the board meeting 1 week later, everyone will say, okay, approved. Because I practice nemawashi. You already do some talking, convincing the decision makers prior to any disagreement, argument, or whatever. Okay, and job excellence. You don't say, pwede na. It's about right. Job excellence is doing the right things even during the first time. Okay. And then, performance management system. You cannot do without an effective performance management system. And mind you, you have to monitor and check whether you give feedback or the bosses give feedback to all employees at the right time. Unlike what we see in several posts, Sir, lumagpas na ako sa 6 months, hindi pa ako kinakausap. That's a no-no. If you are like that, magsara ka na lang. Because you are not practicing the real HR work. In Fujitsu, there were only 2 factors. One, section management. How managers or supervisors, okay, will manage or supervise their subordinates on a sectional department basis. And of course, the other one is what you call corporate thinking. Corporate thinking versus rank and file mentality. And there were only 5 scores. If you are starting, you were just recently hired, you get a 1. If you are 1 or 2 years with the company, you get a 2. If you are already good in your craft, you get a 3. And for those who not only are have been with the company for many years, but are competent, you get a 4 or a 5, which means breakthrough performance. The next practice is what you call competency-based training. All engineers are sent to Asia Pacific Leadership Development Program in Japan and cross-culture training. Of course, you have management of change, crisis management. From 10,000 employees in 2001 September, we phased out one of our businesses, and we had to terminate the services of 1,500 employees. But I took the pains of talking with all these employees day and night shift. You had a Q&A, and we paid a good sum of money. And we did not get any lawsuit. In 2005, we closed out part of our operations and merged with a company known as TDK. This involved also 1,500 employees. And then culture reinforcers versus culture destabilizers. Due process. Extension of support to those who have dreaded diseases. We paid 200,000 pesos for every employee. And the criteria were very explicit. Of course, acceptance of mistakes upon discovery, which links to evidence of role modeling. And one rallying program, we call it 3W program: work, wellness, well-being. Besides that, we had so many practices. We started the day with a morning exercise for 3 minutes, including the president, vice presidents of the company. We had a keep right policy. The corridor had a line in the middle, which means that if you go to that direction, you have to keep to your right. And if you're going to that direction, you also keep to your right so you don't bump into each other, especially at any one time when there are about 1,000 employees going to the canteen. And mind you, yung mga nag-overtake, ako mismo, hinuhuli ko yan. Do you know what happened? After 1 year of implementing the keep right policy, we removed the line in the middle of the corridor. Ordinarily, people would not have kept right because there is no longer any demarcation line. But still they did. And that is talking about discipline. Even at the dish out counter, whenever you eat at the canteen, or telephone courtesy, or greetings, okay, you have to consider all of this. So by and large, it's so easy to be in HR. One of the surefire tips I gave is you make both the organization and the individual or the employee whole. How do you do that? By ensuring that the organization has sustainable development. And when you look at the balance scorecard, you have financial viability, customer, internal process, learning and growth. And what is the story behind that? You start at the bottom. You come up with a strong organization. You train employees, you engage them. Because if you do, they will be the ones to come up with strong internal processes. And when you have strong internal processes, then you will be able to satisfy customers. And when you satisfy customers, there will be repeat businesses. They will always patronize your products and services, which eventually will lead to financial viability, profitability, making the organization whole. How about the individual? With all due respect, you cannot make an employee whole unless you consider at least 8 dimensions. What are they? Physical, spiritual, financial, emotional, environmental, occupational, intellectual. I forgot the last one. But anyway, it's there. So, making the individual and the company whole connects to a perfect culture. When the organization is happy, when all the employees are happy, then you build a strong culture. And that is the essence of employee relations. People become engaged, motivated, loyal, productive. May malasakit. Tsaka wag ninyo iisa na ang mga empleyado. Babalikan kayo niyan. Be always truthful to them. Tsaka mababaw lang ang kaligayahan ng ibang empleyado. When I go to the canteen before, when I used to go to the canteen, there are several tables. And then a group of 10 operators start singing happy birthday. Which only means one of their office mates, it's her birthday. So what do? Using my own money, I asked one of my assistants to buy ice cream for them, 1/2 gallon each. And during company outings, kasama ko pa dyan yung Vice President for Manufacturing, yung friend ko si Abet Perulina. We tour all the cottages. Lahat yan, binibisita namin. Umiinom pa kami kung ano-ano pinapainom lang sa amin. There was a time, pinainom na ko ng halo-halo. Hinatid ako ng driver ko sa bahay. Sabi ko, asan na tayo? Nasa bahay na pala ako. So you engage them. With due respect, back in the day, I was like a rock star. Dahil mag-ilong ka dapat sa empleyado, lalo na yung mga maliliit. Those who have less in life should have more in law. Remember that. So, am I okay? It's 5:09. I propose that we can even extend by 30 minutes because of my debacle.
Ernie, can you hear us? We can start with the question and answer because you've made a lot of very good points.
Yes. Pero bago
Diba?
bago po tayo mag-Q&A, may nakapag-ano po sa atin, nakatimbre po sa atin mula sa ating Facebook group. Mukhang ka, Ernie. Advance happy birthday po for tomorrow. Ayan.
Happy
Ka,
birthday
Ernie,
to you,
happy birthday.
sir. Ilang taon na po kayo, sir? Huwag na natin
Oh,
anihin. Happy birthday to you.
ako padala. Kahit na ano na lang.
Yeah. Shall we open the floor to
Thank
question
you.
and answer?
Ah,
Yan, advance happy birthday ka, Ernie. Can you hear us, sir?
doon muna.
Rona?
Yes, ayan po. Sandali. Tinitingnan po natin, marami pang mga greetings sa ating comment section. So yung iba po nating mga nanonood, if you have any questions, please let us know po. Lagay niyo lang po doon sa ating comment section para ano po natin yan. Mabanggit po natin at masagot po ng ating esteemed
Did you-
guest speaker for today. Yes ka, Ernie. Medyo nagpuputol-putol ka po. Ayan.
So,
Yan.
Joannes de la
Oo.
Cruz Gargita says, advance happy birthday, Nong. Hindi, Rona, well, can we talk about, what is the essence
Oh,
na
meron.
naririnig mo yung sinasabi ni Ka Ernie?
Actually ako, ang tumatak sa akin is yung nabanggit niya na 8 dimensions. If you would recall, I think it was last year, we had a very similar discussion and nabanggit din yung 8 dimensions. It's very important na when it comes to employee engagement, we take care of all those 8. We look into all those 8. So it's emotional, environmental, financial, etc., etc. The 8 dimensions ensures that your employees are
Even-
happy with what they are doing. Ayan. Yes po, Ka Ernie. Ayan. So medyo nagbabuffer lang po si Ka Ernie right now. Ayan. Tayo
I
lang po
think
natin
he
siya
finds it a
makakonect.
bit, he finds it a bit hard to hear us.
Yes. Ayan. So, para po doon sa mga nanonood, comment lang po na inyong question. Pero yun nga yung tumatak sa akin, yung 8 dimensions. Kasi it's true. And this is also one of the things that I heard from another HR, respected HR professional, si Miss Penny Bongato. Nabanggit niya dati noon na if you really want your employees to be engaged, they shouldn't be worrying about anything else. So what can you do to make sure that they're not worrying about anything else and they are just focused on their work? Because if they're worrying about their family, they're worrying about where to get money, they're worrying about all those things, they cannot focus on their work, diba? So by taking care of the 8 dimensions, you're making sure that they don't have anything else to worry about but the work. Whatever it is that they have committed to do, yun na lang sila nakafocus. So yun talagang tumatak sa akin. What about you, Mentor Tina? Ano yung talagang tumatak sa'yo doon sa mga nabanggit ni Ka Ernie?
He's a very hands-on HR manager. I feel that if he works for you, if he is your HR manager inside your company, kahit po mukhang very strict si Sir Ernie, you know as an employee, you trust that he will be on the lookout for you and he will do the right things for you. He won't be too pro-labor or pro-management. My feeling when he's doing his talk is he's pro-right. Kung ano yung tama, doon siya. He mentioned
True.
a while ago that he has been part of several retrenchment or redundancy exercises. And he actually said na wala siyang nakuhang labor complaint despite firing so many people. And that's very difficult kasi usually pag tatanggalan mo yung tao sa trabaho, maraming nagtatampo. Maraming mag-uusap-usap, magbabarkada, tapos sabay silang magrereklamo against you. And I don't think it's because he lived in a different time. I honestly believe that people do not complain because despite his very firm and strict demeanor, they believe that the way Ka Ernie did the retrenchment was fair and correct. They're not happy.
Correct. Agree.
They're not happy na tinanggal sila sa trabaho, pero nandyan po yung tiwala sa ginagawa ni Ka Ernie at ang team niya na hindi nila niloloko ang tao at kung magkano talaga ang sapat na ibibigay na bate sa batas, yun talaga yung binigay niya. So, the assumption is him and his team has already worked and negotiated on behalf of the employee. Probably nothing more, but at the very least, nothing less. So
True.
my impression based on what I've heard of him, I've never worked with him before aside from this HR cafe, but I think that management and and employees trust him and his team highly. And I do believe that this trust is earned over time. Kasi he also, nakwento rin siya na parang there were other exercises that his HR did. And maybe it wasn't very popular, but he was right there making sure that these activities were done properly. Para kung may reklamo ang tao, naririnig niya. Kung hindi naintindihan ng tao, nandoon siya. Kung may tanong ang tao, nasasagot niya.
Mm-mm.
And that's a very hands-on way of managing HR, which I think Ka-Ernie will agree with me, medyo nawawala na ngayon sa field natin. Yung
True.
pagiging
True.
hands-on. Kasi HR likes to wash our hands and say, kasi ano to management decision.
Prerogative. Oo. True,
Labas
true,
to.
true.
Like, what I'm doing right now, labas to sa site ko. Wala akong magagawa. Kasi gusto ng management na mag-retrench eh. So, what can I do? I honestly believe after hearing him talk, he doesn't wash his hands of management's decision.
At
And,
saka
oo.
Mentor Tina, if you would recall kanina, binanggit din ka, Ernie, na when they had to retrench people and whenever they are implementing new policies or procedures, he takes the time to talk to each of them to explain what this is all about. I think it's something, kung na-disconnect na si Ka, Ernie, I think it
Pabalik,
is
pabalik.
something that's missing from some HR that we have right now. The ability to really sit down and talk to people. Parang alam mo yon, ang dami kasi nakakatamad, ang dami ko pang gagawin. May mga ganong HR. But the thing is, it's something that we have to really do. We need to make sure that they understand the transparency, the communication. Diba? Isa yun sa mga sinabi niyang elements kanina. Communication should be clear and communication should be transparent. If you want people to become engaged, you need to make sure that you talk to them. You explain to them in a way that they can understand. Kasi pag hindi mo ginawa yun, and yun nga, katulad ng sinabi mo, di ba? Labas ako dito, management decision nito. Pag ganun, yung si HR nawawalan siya ng power, nawawalan siya ng credibility, and people don't listen na to HR kasi parang, ay wala naman palang magagawa si HR, wala naman pala siyang, ano lang naman pala siya, susundin lang naman pala niya kung ano yung sasabihin sa kanya. So that's very important that you really take the time to sit down with the employees and really explain to them how you came with the decision, how you came up with the decision, what was the thought process like, and engage and get also the ideas, the suggestions, the recommendations of the employees within your organization. Ayan.
I also took down. I think everyone, despite the technical difficulties, I think
Mm-mm.
everyone should rewatch Ka
True.
Ernie's part. Okay? Kasi there's a lot of meaning in whatever he said. Pero I'd like to reiterate what he said a while ago. And I hope that people don't take it against yung hindi sila ma-offend, okay? But what he said a while ago is parang mas magaling yata yung mga HR ng dati kaysa ngayon kasi mas maraming effort talaga ang mga dating HR manager to make sure that they're performing in their jobs. Okay, so Carney will correct me later on. But yung nga sinasabi niya parang tayo, nagko-complain tayo na yun, bakit ang mga tao nagtatanong ng maraming tanong muna bago ginagawa yung trabaho nila. He said this, the problem is, employees today make the boss their subordinates. Ulitin ko ha. One of the problems today is that many employees today, lalo na mga sa HR, they make their bosses their subordinates. Pag hindi alam yung, kunyari sabihin, sige, compute ka ng 13th month pay. Tatanungin talaga ng HR manager, boss, paano yun? Or kunyari, magtatanong siya, bukas may holiday, February 25. Boss, paano ba mag-compute ng overtime pay? And surprisingly, many of these officers are graduated from HR. Graduated sila ng HR, and yet hindi sila takot to ask their bosses to answer these questions. Sabi ko sa mga taong nag-a-apply, sabi ko, when you are a student, you pay the school to teach you how to think and the right way. Bakit pag nagtatrabaho ka na, binabayaran ka na, parang expect mo free pa yung learning mo? Na dapat yung boss mo pa ang magtuturo sa'yo. Kasi that's how a lot of people think, na lalo na yung mga bagong HR. Hindi ko alam yan kasi hindi naman tinuro sa akin. Hindi naman ako na-train dyan kaya hindi ko alam. And Ka Ernie is telling us that before, they didn't get spoon-fed. If they wanted information for their thesis, you go to the library. Wala tayong Google at that time, you know. I remember encyclopedias at that time were in books, and then were in
Yeah.
CDs, and then now it's in like the internet. Life is easier now, and yet the HRs of today are a little bit lazier in finding out answers on how to do their jobs. When in fact, a lot of these jobs, parang you were hired as an HR kasi dapat alam mo na. Not necessarily kasi kailangan ka pang turuan.
Alam mo, Mentor Tina, gusto ko sana sabihin na I strongly disagree. Kaya lang, if you would look at Philippines HR Group, yung mga hindi pa na-approve na post, pag titignan mo siya, a lot of the posts actually are asking about, can I have a template for this? How do I create a memo? How do I create a notice to explain? Where can I get all of this information? How do I compute for this? How do I do that? Pero kung tutuusin, these are questions that can be answered by doing a simple Google search.
Yes.
And yun yung nakakapagtaka kasi the HR before us, the batch of Ka-Ernie, these are people who do not have easy access to all of this information.
Yes.
They have to buy a copy of the labor code. They have to understand kung ano man yung nakalagay doon. They have to go through yung mga records sa Supreme Court para lang maintindihan yung mga Supreme Court jurisprudences. These are not readily available then. 'Di ba? But the people today, the HR of today, they can easily Google search that. Pero bakit nga ba? Mas marami yung parang hindi na nagre-research. Diretso kagad ng tanong. And that's actually sad. That's sad because one of the things that we as HR professionals should do is be good in analysis, be good in research, be good in data gathering. So nakakalungkot 'yun. Ayan. Ka-Ernie, rinig mo na po ba kami? Okay na po ba?
I think so. I can hear him.
Yeah,
If
I
he
can
talks.
hear you.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Ayan.
There
Yeah, I
we
can
go.
hear you.
You can answer the questions na from the
Pwede
floor.
ba akong magdagdag ng isang example?
Sige, go.
Go lang po,
Can I
Ka-Ernie.
mention one example?
Yes, please.
Okay, there was time when we had problem with our payroll system. Many employees were not being paid their overtime. Okay, so there were so many complaints. So there was a money, and I was part of it. And the president asked what we can do. The unanimous decision was
Nawala ng konti.
for us is complaints. If you
Medyo nakakat si Ka-Ernie. Ka-Ernie, medyo nagbabuffer po yung po.
He's coming back anyway.
Oo.
Ay.
Ayan.
While we're waiting for him, he also mentioned a while ago that during his time, di ba yung may example, ano pangalan nun? Si Marvin ba yun? Yung one of the people, or is it Alvin, na merong problema sa floor and he readily admitted mistake doon sa tapat ng Japanese boss niya. I
Yes.
honestly think now, mas marami tayong, I don't know if it's before pa, but parang ngayon ang daming palusot versus before. 'Di ba?
Uh,
Pag kunyari
could
nagkamali
be.
ka, kunyari may problema sa overtime, sigurado 'yan. Doesn't matter kung anong department, lusot muna, reason muna bago mag-admit. Sir, medyo nawala. Kanina okay
Opo.
na.
Opo, nawala po ulit yung sounds mo po. Ayan, hindi
Yeah.
ka po namin rinig. So bago po tayo habang inaayos po natin yung ating technical difficulties, Ka-Ernie, hindi ka pa po namin rinig. Highlight ko lang po yung nabanggit po ni Be Orocam. Go to the scene and Horen saw are the actions that current HR need to do more. Thank you, Sir Ernie, for the reminder. As HR, we have to be at the forefront regardless of level. Which is true. Hindi po tayo, meron yung, may nakita ko na parang, saying, quotes, powerful quote from an anonymous source na you cannot manage an organization from your desk. Hindi ka po pwedeng mag-manage na nakatingin ka lang from your desk lang at hindi mo talaga nakikita kung ano yung nangyayari sa floor, sa mga empleyado. You have to be at the scene and you have to make sure that you really understand what's happening. Ayan. We also have a Facebook user who mentioned na not just HR, even applicants before relied on classified ad section of weekend newspaper and all answers to the interviews are based on stock knowledge. True, Diyos ko po. Nabutan ko pa ito. So, yung mga, hindi pa talaga ganun kauso si Google. Wala pa si Google. Ang ating pong pag-a-apply, tumitingin po tayo kay Manila Bulletin sa classified ads ng Manila Bulletin. Diyan natin nakikita yung mga job openings. Today, you will read from people asking how to answer a question na, tell me about yourself, di ba? So, nakakalungkot yung mga ganun. Kasi bakit parang instead of mas nagiging analytical tayo, bakit parang pabalik, di ba? Ayan. So,
There,
Ka-Ernie, okay na po ba? Yes po, Mentor Tina.
let's wait. Sir Ernie? There's another comment that part of the comment. Part of the problem is the lack of good mentors to guide the next generation of HR practitioners. I would like to gently disagree with this. I really do. Okay?
Ang
Why?
daming mentors. Ang dami natin sa Philippines
In
HR
this
group.
webinar, there is already 3 to 4 mentors that are offering our services for free. The HR Cafe is a free weekly webinar wherein we promote HR learnings to others. In the Philippine HR group, there are a lot of HR gurus and mentors. Ka-Ernie will respond to you if you message him. I promise you. I've never heard him read. Pinapagalitan ka minsan pag mali ka, pero sumasagot yan. There's every week we only highlight good HR mentors, all of which I promise you will respond if you message them on Facebook. They're that reachable. The problem is not a lack of good mentors. The problem is our lack of responsibility, accountability to our own learning.
True.
That's
True.
my point na kahit na maraming teacher dyan, pag hindi ka naman nakikinig sa teacher at hindi ka naman nag-a-attend ng lesson, hindi ka matututo. That's
True.
what I really feel.
True.
'Di ba? Kasi all of us, we go to school, right? It's not about the school. It's not about the teacher. It's all about us wanting to learn.
True.
Yon.
Si Sir Ed Ebrio, who is also one of our mentors and we had him as a guest last year, yan din ang isa sa mga concerns niya actually. A lot of people would come up to him and tell him that they would want to be mentored by Sir Edwin. But when they start the mentoring agreement na, and meron ng mga assignments na binibigay, may mga deadlines, may mga due dates, may kailangan silang gawin. Ayan na. Doon na nagkakaproblema. Biglang nagiging hindi na ganun ka-responsive. Bakit? Kasi some people often think that mentoring is one way, yung tipong sasabihan ka lang kung anong gagawin mo. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And then okay na, solve na yung problema mo, magaling ka na. But it doesn't work that way. When you get a mentor, there's also some effort that needs to be exerted from your end to show na natututunan mo at naiintindihan mo. Kailangan mo rin may contribution ka rin. Kasi your mentor will not tell you step 1, step 2, step 3. Your mentor will challenge you so that you learn how to analyze and you learn how to gather facts for yourself. Ayan.
Eto, may comment ako. I need to read this because this is from our favorite person, Pike Conde. It's not the lack of mentors, it's the lack of common sense and the lack of responsibility from the mentees. Whether or not you agree, whether or not you agree, pero it's true. Kasi,
Yeah.
ito lang hindi mo mapipilit ang taong matuto pag wala siya sa mode na gusto niyang matuto.
True.
And if you
true,
have
true.
children or if you are if you are a teacher, you feel that. Ayan, babalik na.
Yeah.
Tapos sabi
Ernie?
pa ng isa, I will also read Anna Canada. Kainis naman internet connection. Pero maganda ang talk. Kailangan sabihin yan. O yan na. Ka Ernie, can you talk?
Okay na po, Ka Ernie? Can you hear us?
Talk,
Ayan.
sir?
Kahit kailan talaga ang ating no?
Tapos may nagsabi dito, Marie Ann Maan. HR practitioners before are really on the ground and hands-on. The new generation of expert practitioners are always on the safe side. Often than not, they do their assignments. I have to
Oo.
be, a lot of people think HR is very procedural. Benefits, payroll, procedural, meaning to say pag may problema, bibigay ng NTE, follow admin hearing, notice of decision. But the HRs of yesterday are much more hands-on and more operationally adept. Ito yung tanong ko sa mga HR, kilala nyo tao nyo? Hindi. I'm not kidding. If you are an HR of a company, do you actually know the names of your employees? Or pangalan lang siya sa isang Excel spreadsheet? A lot of you may ask, may say, hindi naman ako operations, hindi naman ako sales, hindi naman ako yung may-ari, bakit ko sila kilala? My question to you is, ang tagal mo na dyan, ba't hindi mo pa nga sila kilala?
True.
Hindi, totoo, di ba? Like, if you've
True.
been in a company for more than 6 months, and the only name you know is the name of the security guard, the name of your colleagues, and the name of the department heads, I'd really like to ask you guys, why are you promoting employee engagement when you do not engage the employees? And I think
True.
that is what Ka Ernie was saying a while ago. He's very hands-on.
And you have to understand di ba sabi nga nila, walang mas gaganda pa kaysa sa tunog ng sarili mong pangalan. So how do you talk to the employees if you don't know who they are? Diba? Kung hindi
Ito
mo
nga
ang
yung tanong,
pangalan
sige.
nila.
Totoo talaga, real talk. Do our viewers actually know who their employees are? I'm totally serious. Or alam nyo lang 200 employees kayo. And ito yung problema. Pag merong nang pasabog-sabog later on, paano mo sila makakausap kung never mo naman silang kinausap nung wala namang silang problema? What respect do you have from the employees if you actually have no clue who they are? Ito lang I have a feeling Ka Ernie knows his employees by name.
Most
I have a
likely,
feeling
yes.
he
Most
actually
likely, yes.
knows his employees by name. If not, they know who he is. Yun,
Most likely.
1,000%.
Most likely.
I don't feel that he has worked in a company and the people only see him as the HR manager. They actually know him by name. And the question is to our viewers, do the employees that you serve know you by name or do they see you as the HR who organizes the party? Because that's where we first started, di ba? Oh, yung mga HR nag-organize ng party, kahit pangalan, hindi ka nila kilala. Bakit hindi ka nila kilala? Right? Like,
True.
do you think, Rona, like, don't you think hindi ka naman magpapasikat, but I do believe that the employees should at least know who you are and know how to reach you.
True. Correct.
Because if you do not know who they are and they do not know how they are, what employee engagement are we talking about?
True, true. Dapat kilala kayo ng empleyado. Dapat alam nila kung sino kayo at alam nila kung sinong lalapitan nila. Kasi importante yun eh. Kasi pag hindi accessible sa kanila si HR, dyan nagkakaroon ng problem. Magsasabihin nila na, nakakatakot lumapit kay HR or nakakahiyang lumapit kay HR. Pero you want them to approach you. If they're having a hard time knowing who you are and you are also not exerting effort to get to know them, ano pang sense ng pagiging HR, di ba? How are you managing the human resources if ikaw din mismo hindi ka nagre-reach out? Ito ang challenge ko naman dun sa mga current HR practitioners. Tagal na nitong topic. Palaging sinasabi na pagdating sa salary, hindi dapat dinidisclose. But if you would, Ka-Ernie, okay na po ba? Rinig mo na po ba kami?
I think it's in
Ayan.
the settings, yeah.
Oo,
Kaya ba?
medyo garbled ka lang po, Ka-Ernie. Garbled lang po. I think baka hindi lang maigi sa ano. Ayan.
Yeah.
Garbled lang ka, Ernie. Slightly
Okay, go?
garbled. Pero if you would, if you would remember earlier, may nabanggit si Ka Ernie about buog. Okay? Si Sir Efren Alberto, kung tama yung pagkakatanda ko ng pangalan. One of totoo yung sinabi ni Ka Ernie, promise, nangyari talaga yun, that in Muog, the salary structure of the organization is posted and available to everyone. Kita nila lahat. Okay? Walang silipan, walang kahit na ano. Ganun sila ka-transparent. Now, nagkaroon ba ng inggitan? Actually, wala. Which also means that the company itself has a very good culture. Kasi walang inggitan. Walang silipan, ito palang sweldo niya kasi job grade 2 siya. Ay, ganito pala sweldo niya. Walang ganun. So they had a good culture, they had a lot of transparency, so walang silipan ngayon ng sweldo. Hindi nagkakaroon ng ganong problema sa kanila. But if you would notice, companies of today, yan ang isa sa mga problema. Nagsisilipan. At ang unang-unang ginagawa ng mga HR is to come up with a memo, NTE, pag nag-disclose ka. So nagbi-build ngayon ng animosity, 'di ba? So yun yung tanong sa inyo, if Moog was able to do that, bakit ang mga companies ngayon are having a hard time with that? Kasi ako personally I think kasi number one, yung culture hindi ganun ka structured talaga or solid. Kaya maraming mga companies na nagkakaproblema dyan. Ayan.
Okay.
Ka-Ernie? Okay ka na po ba?
Try talking, sir. I think pwede na.
Pwede na po ba, Ka-Ernie? Okay
Sige.
ka na po ba? Mukhang hindi pa.
Hindi pa pwede. Okay, go.
Oo. Ayan. So, Ka-Ernie, hindi ka pa rin po namin rinig. I'm so sorry. Pero habang inaayos po natin ang ating yung pong sounds ni Ka-Ernie, gusto kong po i-highlight itong comment na ito. Thank you, Ka-Ernie. Sabi ni Miss Kathleen Banyaria, I totally agree when you mentioned earlier, top-led, line-managed, and staff-supported. True. This is very true when we do policy changes, implementing important initiatives within the organization. This is actually true, especially when you are trying to promote a specific culture. Top-led, yung top mismo, the top management, the CEO, all members of the Execom and Mancom, sa kanila, sila yung magkakascade ng culture. And then the people, the supervisors, they are the ones who would communicate it to their team members. And the team members should support that. Which means that there should be an open communication within all of those levels para talagang lahat on the same page. Hindi po pwedeng top-led lang without yung line managers not doing anything and the staff not knowing about it. Hindi rin naman po pwedeng manggagaling sa staff kasi anong gagawin naman ng top management noon? Paano kung mali yung masusuportahan ng culture? So it has to be those three and there has to be good communication doon sa tatlong levels na yun. That's actually good. That's one of the things that Ka-Ernie mentioned earlier na maganda, na talaga naman dapat nating sinusunod. Ayan po.
Find out.
Si
Ito
Miss,
rin yung,
yes po, go ahead po.
Go. Sa akin din, di ba, parang he mentioned a while ago that a lot of the HR officers now, they ask first before doing. And I'd like to reiterate lang that you learn most by doing, not by asking. Totoo yun. Ang bilis-bilis nating magtanong. Tapos, tinatanong natin bakit hindi natin magets. Kasi never naman ninyo ginagawa yung sinasabi sa'yo. Tinuturuan ka na nga, hindi ka naman nakikinig. Eto, a lot of new, HR newbies, they come in and they ask like, how do I compute payroll? You cannot really understand payroll until you do payroll. You cannot
True.
really understand how to pay for the contributions until you are processing loan and contribution payments for your staff. You cannot really organize anything until you have actually done an event and gone through the process. And we ask ourselves, parang, bakit hindi ako tinuturuan? Kulang na lang, yung boss mo na lang ang gumawa di ba? I think that's what he said, right? Kulang na lang, yung boss mo na lang gumawa kasi mas mabilis pa silang gumawa kaysa sabihin sa'yo kung paano gawin yung trabaho mo. And that is very frustrating for many old and new HR kasi parang, my gosh, kaya ka nga binabayaran para magtrabaho. Bakit ako pinapatrabaho mo? Tapos ito pa, magagalit ka pa later on kasi sasabihin mo, hindi kita tinuruan.
Walang training, yun ang sasabihin sa'yo. Hindi po ako tinrain.
Hindi ka tinuruan! My gosh, kulang na lang. Kulang na lang. Hindi mo naman binabayaran boss mo para turuan ka. Bakit mo siya inuutusan?
I think kasi may common misconception na parang pag na-hire ka, dapat iti-train ka. Pero in reality, hindi naman ganun Hinire ka kasi you're supposed to add value to the organization. You're supposed to do something for the organization. Kaya nga tinitignan natin, di ba, yung skills and the ability to analyze things, to gather data, think critically. Yun yung hinahanap ng mga recruiters Kasi you're supposed to add value. Pwede may training, lalo na kung, let's say, super technical yung position talaga. There could be training. But to expect na all of your employers, all of your bosses will train you, handhold you for the first 6 months, di ba? That might be hard to do kasi your bosses also has a lot of things on their plate, and that's the reason why you were hired. They want to offload. They need to work on something else.
I also have another observation. Di ba we have Ka Ernie in the show.
Mm-mm.
Imagine if you're working for him. Will you ask him questions? Stupid questions? I'm not kidding. I'm not asking this as parang nag-iinsulto lang. I have a feeling that a lot of the HR managers today conduct themselves in such a way that their subordinates find it very easy to ask them questions that they should already know the answer to. It is on the way on how we conduct ourselves. Ka Ernie is more senior than us, more experienced than us, but if you've noticed how he answers and how he conducts itself, the respect is automatically there because he knows what he's doing. Mahirap din for many HR managers kasi sometimes if you are not confident that you know what you are doing, then you will just be a pushover to both the bosses and to all your employees. That's what I think. Kathleen Magalon Baharia says, thank you Ka Ernie. I totally agree when you mentioned, na-mention na nila kanina yon. So, yon. So that's what I think, yeah.
Ka Ernie, okay na po ba? Parang naririnig ka na po namin. Slide.
I think so. He has to talk.
Oo. Ka Ernie, okay ka na po? Naku, mukhang nagkakaproblema pa rin.
Yeah.
Minsan talagang internet sa Pilipinas ay napakaganda.
I think we should invite him again, and then what we need to do is post the COVID-19. Dapat doon tayo sa tabi niya para sigurado walang problema.
True. Pag nagano na tayo, face-to-face na learning session tulad nung ginagawa natin dati prior to pandemic. Pero ako, I've known Ka Ernie kasi since I started in HR, since super fresh graduate. So, kilala ko na kagad si Ka Ernie. And during that time, Ka Ernie was already the president of PMAP. So yun. So kilala ko siya, alam ko yung pangalan niya. I know that he's an author. I know that he's been in HR for quite some time. And I know that he has a lot of contributions na to HR. Him being yun nga, that time, president na ng PMAC. And although I haven't worked directly with him, I know his caliber and I know just how strict he is. Okay? Hindi ito yung strict kasi iniisip ng ibang mga HR na hindi dapat masyadong strict. Bakit naman ganun? Bakit meron pa silang sa right side ka lang maglalakad? You have to understand where Ka-Ernie is also coming from. Ka-Ernie is from a Japanese company. And Japanese companies they are all about discipline. They're very, very strict on discipline. Okay? Yun yung ano nila, yun yung culture nila. And that's one of the things that you have to understand. Na yung, kung ano man yung culture na meron yung isang kumpanya, if you're able to do that properly, the employees will follow. Hindi dahil sa masyado mahigpit na isang kumpanya ay wala ng engagement. That's not true. Minsan kasi iniisip natin na ay pag masyado mahigpit, pag masyado kaming lahat detalyado, baka yung mga empleyado namin mainis naman, feeling nila masakal sila. Hindi. You also have to understand ano ba yung gusto talaga na maging culture nitong organization na to. And then be transparent about it. Make sure that you talk to them. Sabi nga ni Ka-Ernie, di ba kanina, you talk to them one by one, you sit down with them para naiintindihan. Pero I have known Ka-Ernie since yun nga, nag-start pa lang ako. And I know that he's been with Fujitsu for quite some time. Kaya alam ko kung bakit siya strict. At kung bakit siya pag nagtuturo siya sa Philippines HR Group is very straightforward and he's very talagang madetalye pag nagbibigay siya ng sagot niya. Kasi ganun talaga yung kanilang culture. It's not that gusto niyang pahirapan yung mga nagko-comment sa Philippines HR Group, but he wants you to learn. Ganun siya magturo. Naririnig ko siya noon nung first job ko pala, naririnig ko siya pa nagbibigay siya ng insights niya sa amin nung mga ka-office mate ko noon. So alam ko kung ano yung caliber niya talaga. Plus he was also with Job Street ha. So if yung mga naabutan nyo na yung meron pang Job Street na Yahoo groups, he was also very active there. And ganun din siya. Nagtuturo siya talaga. Okay? But he's also very straightforward pag nagturo siya. Ayan.
We have a comment doon sa kay Joannes. Go.
Yes. If you would ask him those questions, he will approach you and teach you, pero nakakahiya yun sa part na nagtatanong. You shouldn't rely on anybody kasi tenured HR can teach you once or twice, but several times, that's the time that you should ask yourself, why am I here? May point si Miss Johannes. Diba? Once or twice nga naman, that's okay. Pero yung same question multiple times, huy, ano nangyari sa'yo?
Ito lang ha. Hindi lahat ng questions, okay, is wise to ask. Honestly, okay, there are some questions that are talagang hindi mo alam, na kailangan ka talagang turuan. Pero sometimes, ito lang yung secret ha. Based on your questions, sometimes we will know how competent you are. I mean, like, sabi mo, paano mo alam kung magaling tong tao na to or matalino tong tao na to? Minsan, depende yan sa tanong ng tao sa'yo. Kasi meron talagang tanong, hindi mo alam yung sagot. Hindi mo malalaman until na-experience mo. Okay? And these are the questions you really need to ask your manager. Like, before you do anything that is very critical, and it's a decision making that might affect a lot of people and their livelihoods, you might want to ask first before you dive in. Right? Lalong-lalo na in the last 2 years during the lockdown, many questions were asked because talaga it's unprecedented. Nobody really had a clue what's going on, and you really need management's feedback. But when it comes to stuff that is computation of payroll or pro rata 13th month pay, or whether or not an employee should render 30 days notice, we will silently judge you if you ask such questions. I'm so sorry. We will know how intelligent you are based on the questions that you have asked. So please, we are friendly. We are very nice. We'll be happy to answer any query you might have. Pero if possible, please also censor. It doesn't mean that our advice is free. You can ask everything you want. without researching it first. Because
True.
it is not a reflection of us, it is more of a reflection of who you are as a person and who you are as an HR manager.
Tsaka
So,
imagine niyo yun, di ba? If ang first recourse mo is to ask people in Philippines HR group, what if the time comes that there's no more Philippines HR group?
meron
Paano ang
yun.
gagawin mo?
Pero minsan kasi,
Eh, worst
di
case, di
ba?
ba? Worst
Gusto mo
case.
tanungin, saan ka nagtatrabaho at bakit ka na-hire dyan? I'm not kidding. Like sometimes there are questions sa parang matagal ka na ba diyan sa HR na 'yan? Tapos sabihin niya na 2 years na. Anong role mo? HR manager. Ilang tao mo? 100. Oh my God. I
Bigla akong
feel
maawa
bad.
sa isang daan.
I feel bad for the employees. I don't feel bad for the manager. I feel bad for the
Mm-mm.
employees and the
Employees.
boss. Kasi you're like, how if ganun pa lang, how do you engage your employees? And hindi ka ba nahihiya? I'm sorry, I know it's bad. Pero dapat parang medyo kasi you're serving the employees eh. If we know there is something wrong, that the fact that you don't know, paano pa kaya yung boss mo tsaka yung mga employees mo? They're silently judging you. And a lot of employees want to move because of you. 'Di ba nakakatakot mag-serve sa isang company na yung HR manager hindi alam yung sagot.
True. True. True.
It's really, really like I mean for us, we need to do better. We need to deserve better. And I think like a takeaway for me with Sir Ernie, I know he has high standards, but honestly, his standards are not too high. If you really think about it, his standards is a challenge to the HR profession of today. It's for us just to do our job, and it's not a big ask. Right? Because a
True.
lot of the HR managers now, we're not really doing our jobs. We're not engaging with our employees. We organize the parties, we give the giveaways, we do the raffles, but that's not what employee engagement is all about. 'Di ba? And then parang for us talaga, if you really want your employees to love you, love them first by actually being competent enough to do your job because so many don't. We have a comment?
Yes, actually maganda ito. At maganda itong binanggit ni Miss Kathleen. Sabi ni Miss Kathleen, regarding culture, notice also that sometimes when we hire key people, strategic positions, they're trying to disrupt the established culture negatively, which affects employee morale, especially of those ones with malasakit for the company. These people ended up leaving the company. And this is sometimes true. Meron kasi tayong mga walang effort, yung mga HR na hindi sila ganun maalam, so hindi sila makapag-effort ng tama. At meron din naman tayong nasobrahan sa effort. And I think that's also equally hard, equally problematic. Kasi you would have sometimes you would hire people na dahil feeling ko magaling ako, feeling ko kaya ko lahat. And the first thing that they do is to change whatever is existing in the company without regard if those things are actually working for the company, just to flex their muscle, just to show na alam ko yung ginagawa ko. But the thing is, we also have to keep in mind, you don't need to fix anything if there's nothing to be fixed, there's nothing broken. Wala naman gumaganing system, it's working. So instead of trying to change that, just improve on that or sustain that. Hindi yung babaguhin mo lahat. That is equally problematic, yung nasobrahan naman sa effort. And I think that is what Miss Kathleen is mentioning. Yes,
Ako
Mentor
may
Tina.
pangdagdag din ako dito. The fact that the key people with strategic people, the fact that there are nincompoops that are being hired in key strategic positions show that in that company there is an opportunity for you to rise up.
Ah,
And if you're not yet rising up, take it as an opportunity to rise up to that position later on, possibly. Because kung ganun pala ang standards ng company, yes, there is something wrong with the new hire who is negatively affecting the culture. But there is also an opportunity for you. Hindi lang because of malasakit sa kumpanya, pero sa akin, ang challenge ko is galingan mo ang sarili mo. Kasi talagang may oportunidad para umakyat. Kasi kung sila nagbubudol, you know they will not last long.
True.
6 months, a year, maybe 2 years, 'di ba? Matatanggal din 'yan. Matatanggal yung mga 'yan kasi wala namang alam. Alam naman natin, 'di ba? Pero ito lang, 'pag natanggal na yung mga 'yan, sino mawawalan uli ng
Mm.
posisyon. Can you actually
Kaka-vacuum.
do their job? And if you are not doing their job yet, why don't you aspire for it and work for it right now? Kasi in 1 to 2 years time, that position will be open. If it's a higher position, I strongly encourage our kababayans to aspire for that. Kasi kayang-kaya naman yan. Pareho lang naman yung oras ng trabaho. Di kunin mo na yung mas mataas ng sweldo. That's what I think, 'di ba? So, for me, take it as an opportunity. Huwag tayong mainggit. Gawin na lang natin yung trabaho nila kung pwede. Kasi minsan din kasi, pag nagrereklamo tayo tungkol sa kapwa nating hindi marunong talaga sa trabaho, ang next tanong ng boss, ikaw, kaya mo bang gawin yung trabaho niya? Tapos tayo naman, pag narinig na natin yan, parang back out tayo. Sabihin natin, then wala ka na naman sasabihin, right? What's very important for us is we need to be able to do that job and take it. Kaya mo ba yung trabaho na yan? And then you say something like, yeah, if you promote me, I'll try. And that's how you become the CEO. Balik tayo
Related
sa
sa
topic
topic
natin
natin.
kay
Oo.
Marvin, di ba, Rob? Yung ano natin kay Marvin Rodriguez,
Oo,
di ba?
true,
And
true,
that's how
true.
you become a CEO, by actually being competent. And I wonder how many of us aspire for that. And we should.
We should,
Rona,
we
we're
should.
almost at the end of our time. What later on we will promise everyone we will try to invite Ka Ernie again to talk later half of the year, and we will be there na. Pupunta na lang kami sa bahay niya para sigurado walang problema sa internet. Because I think it's just
At
a technical difficulty.
At Mentor Tina, may magandang balita. Mukhang level 1 na po tayo, March 1, effective March 1. So I just saw it sa ating level 1 na po ang NCR, and I think some provinces are also level 1. So hopefully bago matapos ng taon, we can have a face-to-face learning session like we used to do before, and we can invite yung mga talagang mga kilalang pangalan sa ating industry like sila Ka
Oh
Ernie.
yeah.
We still have a lot of people, a lot of mentors within the group na tahimik lang sila pero they are also providing wisdom within the group. Hopefully ma-invite natin sila. But for now, I think we can already end our session for today. That
Yes. Last
actually,
words, Rona?
yes.
Ako muna last
Ayan.
words. Tapos ikaw
Ikaw na
naman
muna.
next.
Oo, sige,
Oh,
sige,
palagi
sige.
na, oh, yan. My biggest takeaway of this session is how to be you po, Ka Ernie. Like that for me. I know that sometimes he argues with us in the PHRG group, but you have to really go back and see what does he really want from us. And it's coming talaga, his frustrations of the HR profession nowadays really come from a place of love and care, because he's seen how the HR community is now and how it was before. And he's just very surprised on how big the gap truly is. Ironically, there's a lot of HR graduates graduating every year in many different universities. So many HR graduates, so many people are coming into the field. And a lot of the people who are coming in are very much unprepared because oo, HR ka nga. It's not difficult to get that job. It's not difficult to be an HR manager. What's the difficult part is doing the HR, being the HR manager that everybody would want from either the employer and the employees itself. Some of the takeaways that I got: number one, you have to be a very hands on HR. You cannot just be in the office, air conditioned office, be part of the process flow but not being part of the game. You have to get your hands dirty, and you need to actually know what's going on inside your company beyond your job description. If your job is just interviewing, it's not really just to interview a person, it's to get to know everybody who's coming in, to find if they're the right fit for the company. There's a bigger purpose to your job. If your job is payroll, it's not just for you to compute the payroll every time. It's not just to time keep or to count the DTRs. Why not be more than what your current position is? Because that's how you get promoted. By getting your hands dirty, getting to know the people inside your organization, actually talking to them, getting to know their names, and for them to get to know who you are. Instead of just calling you HR ko yan. Kasi hindi nila alam pangalan mo. 'Di ba? Like, that sort of distance is not engaging people. And I challenge you, because you're watching the show, 'di ba? If you really want to engage people, talk to them. Engage them. Do not just attend a webinar on employee engagement. Actually engage them, interact with them, talk to them, be part of them, because it shows them that you care. And if you are an HR who cares, then that company is very lucky because you're doing a great job. I think that's a really big problem. We forget really what our job is. And we see our position as papasok tayo, gagawin natin trabaho natin, tapos uuwi na tayo. We forget what our true purpose is, which is to facilitate everybody. We're in a very, very nice position. And I think Joannes de la Cruz Gargita says it right. She says it's her ninong, but it's beyond ninong. Sabi niya, I appreciate and acknowledge your professionalism and want to thank you for the points that you've made and discussed. I even wrote down notes so I can remember some and use it ever I would be employed very soon. And I would also like to thank the HR Cafe for these type of topics because they're informative, helpful, and both HR staff and employees like me. More live streams. Sa akin lang, for me, be more hands-on, do be more competent in your job, and conduct yourself more like Ka Ernie. Don't keep your hands clean, get your hands dirty, right? And earn that position, because as is where is, if you're just thinking of it as a job, baka lumipat na lang kayo ng trabaho kasi mas mataas pag sales kayo. Hindi, totoo. Eto lang nga, sa akin lang. Mas mataas ang sweldo if you are in another position. I honestly think if you're in sales or in operations or um, it's a higher position. Mas mahirap po sa HR maging mataas ang sweldo. But if you're a very good HR, the sky's the limit. Mataas ang sweldo ng magaling na HR kasi konti lang po ang magaling na HR. Totoo. That's what I think. I think Ka Ernie can talk. I think I can hear him already.
Ernie, are you there po? For the last words?
Can you hear
Yon.
me?
Yes,
Yes,
we can hear you.
Ernie, we
Perfect.
can hear you po.
Last words po.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Ernie, we can hear you po.
Those who want to ask questions about my presentation, you can PM me and I will answer you. Thank you.
Ayan.
Short and sweet.
Oo. Yes. Actually, nag-message din sa akin si Ka Ernie. So, anuhin ko lang, Ka Ernie, basahin ko lang po. Nag-apologize kasi si Ka Ernie dahil nga dito sa connection
So
is
I
intermittent.
would like to thank
Yes
Tina
po.
and Rona for the handling of the session. And thank you very much for your kind words.
How to be you po is my final word. Hindi, totoo. I'm not saying it because nambobola ako. I don't bola.
My final word is if there are people who I have offended in the past, I'm sorry, I apologize. I humble myself.
Apa.
Ayan. Sweet, short. Ayan. Sweet and short. Succinct. Ayan. So, ayan po. Maraming salamat, Ka Ernie, for sharing your time with us today. Ako naman po, ang last words ko naman po sa inyo. Okay, kung gusto niyo pong makausap si Ka Ernie.
You're most welcome anytime.
Thank you po, Ka Ernie. If you want to talk to
Bye-bye.
Ka Ernie, bye po, please PM him, but make sure po that your account is not locked. You're not using any recently created na mga accounts. Make sure that it's your own personal account. Reach out to him. You can PM him and he will answer any question that you might have. But as we've mentioned earlier, make sure that you're also open to learning. Okay? Kasi kung ito yung tipong Q&A lang ang dating, hindi po mag-stick ang learning natin. So you also have to be open to learning. Now, final words from my end, siguro unang-unang sasabihin dahil ang ating topic is all about employee engagement. You also need to be engaged. ikaw din mismo dapat you are 100% sure that you want to be an HR, you want to make an impact to the organization, and you want to change lives. Okay? It might be too idealistic, but as an HR kasi, you're handling people. And when it comes to handling people, it's all about appreciating them and making their lives better than kung ano man sila right now. That's one of your commitment as an HR. Now, if you want to really be committed to your task, if you want to really be engaged, you also need to practice self-discipline. Okay? Dapat disiplinado din po tayo mga HR. We commit to something, we honor that commitment. We take the time to analyze, we take the time to really understand what's happening. We take the time to research about the industry we are in, about the role that we are taking, and we take the time to engage our employees. Hindi po pwede na ay mahirap, ayoko. Ay masyadong komplikado, pasa sa iba. Hindi. We have to discipline ourselves that when it comes to mga mahihirap, complicated, and complex situations, we are there at the forefront, helping the rest of the people within our organization understand what's happening. Kaya nga, di ba, nung nagka-pandemic, sino ang unang nasa harapan kagad at talaga iniintindi lahat ng resolutions ni IATF? HR. Yun ang role natin. Okay? And without self-discipline, kung tayo yung tipo na, sige, pasa mo na lang yan. If we are like that, then we won't make a change in the lives of our employees and we cannot get them engaged. Engagement, dapat tayo ang mauna. And second, self-discipline. So, yan po. So, if you want to get a copy nung ating pong, if you want to rewatch the episode that we have today, available po yan sa ating pong Facebook page ng HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. Available din po sa ating pong YouTube channel. Just search for Philippines HR Group. Makikita nyo rin po pati yung ating mga past episodes. And hopefully, we can invite again Ka Ernie when we do the face-to-face session para mas maganda po ang ating talakayan. Ayan po. So if you have any questions, just feel free to PM po Ka Ernie and he would take the time to answer any questions that you might have and provide you with any guidance that you might have. He's also very active in Philippines HR Group. So if you haven't joined Philippines HR Group yet, please make sure that you join us, answer the questions na needed para mapapasok po namin kayo. And Ka Ernie will be there to answer any intelligent questions that you might have. But for now po, we're going to end our session. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending your Sunday with us. We hope to see you next Sunday again for another episode of HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. This is Mentor Rona and Mentor Tina signing off. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Bye, everyone. Stay safe and take care. Level 1 na by March 1. Bye-bye.